DJ Mike C on the track.
Cause that be natural.
Lady D.
Ain't looking tacky. I keep my game tactful.
Yo,
yeah, I'm so nappy.
M.O.B.
Cause that be natural.
The infamous.
Ain't looking tacky. Cause I keep my game tactful.
I'm so pretty, I'm so fat, boo, I'm so natural, it's like it's a taboo. I'm so filthy, got the tattoo, fucking these bitches like I own ragu. On my business with my platoon, getting these minutes like I'm a typhoon. Y'all is jersey on that cartoon, and I'm sitting on top of these buffaloes. I'm so nappy, I'm so nappy. All these dudes that wanna get at me, I'm so cultured and I'm happy. Jealous switches wanna combat me, cause I'm comfortable in my skin. End of the day, you lose, I win. I'm so profitable in my ends, don't care if I make or lose a few friends, and I look like $1 trillion. Lady B won a lotto, cause in the Lord I trust, and beauty is the motto. Naturally thick in the bud, I'm Billy Blanks on the Tabo. Edges a little rough, just pretend I'm from Morocco. Organ all up in my hair, cause I let my locks grow naturally. My curls popping everywhere, I'm maximizing on this natural thing. Like it or not, I don't care. You clowns ain't about to worry me, cause I does this for myself, and I'm repping for my ancestry.
Yeah, so nappy. Cause that be natural. I ain't looking tacky. I keep my game tactful. Yeah, I'm so nappy. Cause that be natural. I ain't looking tacky. Cause I keep my game tactful. I'm so nappy. Cause that be natural. Yo, I ain't looking tacky. I keep my game tactful. Yo, yeah, I'm so nappy. Cause that be natural. Yo, I ain't looking tacky. Cause I keep my game tactful. I'm so nappy. Cause that be natural. Yo, I ain't looking tacky. I keep my game tactful. Yo, yeah, I'm so nappy. Cause that be natural. Yo, I ain't looking tacky. Cause I keep my game tactful.
DJ Mike C on the
I'm so
track.
nappy. Cause that be natural.
Lady
I ain't
D.
looking tacky. I keep my game tactful.
Yo,
Yeah, I'm so nappy.
M.O.B.
Cause that be natural.
The
I ain't
infamous.
looking tacky. Cause I keep my game tactful.
I'm so pretty, I'm so fat, boo, I'm so natural, it's like it's a taboo. I'm so filthy, got the tattoo, fucking these bitches like I own ragu. On my business with my platoon, getting these minutes like I'm a typhoon. Y'all is jersey on that cartoon, and I'm sitting on top of these buffaloes. I'm so nappy, I'm so nappy. All these dudes that wanna get at me, I'm so cultured and I'm happy. Jealous switches wanna combat me, cause I'm comfortable in my skin. End of the day, you lose, I win. I'm so profitable in my ends, don't care if I make or lose a few friends, and I look like $1 trillion. Lady B won a lotto, cause in the Lord I trust, and beauty is the motto. Naturally thick in the bud, I'm Billy Blanks on the Tabo. Edges a little rough, just pretend I'm from Morocco. Organ all up in my hair, cause I let my locks grow naturally. My curls popping everywhere, I'm maximizing on this natural thing. Like it or not, I don't care. You clowns ain't about to worry me, cause I does this for myself, and I'm repping for my ancestry. Yeah,
nappy. Cause that be natural. I ain't looking tacky. I keep my game tactful. Yeah, I'm so nappy. Cause that be natural. I ain't looking tacky. Cause I keep my game tactful. I'm so nappy. Cause that be natural. Yo, I ain't looking tacky. I keep my game tactful. Yo, yeah, I'm so nappy. Cause that be natural. Yo, I ain't looking tacky. Cause I keep my game tactful. I'm so nappy. Cause that be natural. Yo, I ain't looking tacky. I keep my game tactful. Yo, yeah, I'm so nappy. Cause that be natural. Yo, I ain't looking tacky. Cause I keep my game tactful.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. Can you hear me? Let's see. Hello, hello, hello. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Hear me? I can hear myself now. So as I was saying, guys, this is trial and error. I'm just getting back into going live this way where we can discuss, things that are going on, like current events, pop culture, music, art, whatever we want to talk about. So on this particular episode, we are going to be reviewing the whole situation with Reesa Teesa. She told a 50-part story on TikTok. So I wanted to listen to it and get my feedback, get y'all feedback. I'm trying to figure out why I can't see the actual chat box. So let me move it so I can see the chat box on the screen. Give me just a second. So yeah, we trying to get everything back set up. This is a different setup, whole different computer system. So I got to figure it all out. And I can only figure it out by going live. But in the meantime, we finna get into this content. So let me open up the actual page. And we gonna get started. So I'm going to mute myself until I have something to say. I will pause in between parts to give my feedback, get y'all feedback, and we just gonna do it like that for now. So yeah, we about to get into it.
I get out them shrooms, the bitch I get groovy. Like camera action, shoot me a movie. On the 100, the step in the Louis. Feelin' like blocker, oh yeah, let do it.
Please excuse the hair, but here is part 1 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So I met my ex-husband around March 4th of 2020. We met on Facebook dating site, and we also matched on Hinge. I did not realize that he was on both under 2 different names. So one was his actual name, and the other one was a variation, like a nickname that he called himself. Different pictures. So it was a running joke between us. Oh, you ain't even recognize that you had matched with me on Hinge. No, I didn't. And also that should have been a red flag. By the way, you will notice in this story, I called it the United Nations of red flags. It is so many red flags that, I mean, you would have thought I was colorblind because I ignored all of them. So anyway, back to the story. We met around March 4th. We exchanged phone numbers. He called me and we talked on the phone for the first time. In the first phone call, he told me that he had just moved to Georgia from California, from San Diego. His job had transferred him because he was being transferred in as the new regional manager for a major condiment company that is based here in Georgia. I'm not going to say the name. And so we also talked about his childhood. He told me he grew up in Philly. He's from Philly. Both of his parents were deceased. This is the first phone call. Both of his parents were deceased. His father was a Philadelphia police officer. His mom was a teacher. He also told me he briefly lived in Augusta with his family. He had 2 brothers and 2 sisters. He also had 2 half-brothers on his dad's side. First phone call. So I'm just giving you guys the backstory. This was the first phone call we had. So we talked about family. We talked about friends. We talked about our jobs. At the time, I was working at Georgia State Patrol. And he knew this, and he just thought that was like, wow, you know, so you work with troopers all day. Yes, I did. Also in that phone call, he explained to me that he used to play football. He explained that he used to play arena football. I know nothing about arena football. I know about NFL, I know about college, go Dogs, but I don't know anything about arena football. So he explained to me that he used to play arena football. He used to work at Apple in the off season of arena football. And I remember thinking on that phone call, oh, okay, you know, like, good for you. I don't know anything about arena football. And I believe I did tell him that I don't know anything about arena football. That'll come into play later on. So he told me, you know, I just moved here. My job is paying for my housing and they are helping me to look for a house. He was like, right now I'm in Gwinnett County, but I'm trying to look for a house, ideally in Atlanta, like Brookhaven, Sandy Springs. He was like, I really would like to move out there. And so I thought, you know, that's great. You know, you're looking to get a house. You just moved here. He was like, I don't really know too many people here because I spend all my time at work and, you know, this job is really demanding. So that was our first phone call. We talked more. He talked a lot, which took me by surprise because I'm not really used to men talking more than me. He eventually asked me out on a date. Our first date was set for Saturday, March 7th, 2020. He asked me what was my favorite restaurant. I said Cheesecake Factory. And so we agreed to go out at the Cheesecake Factory in a location that was in between. I lived in Clayton County at the time. He lived in Gwinnett County. I realized that if you don't know anything about Metro Atlanta, that makes no sense. But basically, we lived about 45 minutes apart. So we agreed to meet at the Cheesecake Factory over at Perimeter Mall, which is in an area, Sandy Springs, Dunwoody area. I was excited. Like, I called my friends and was like, I got a date, you know, blah, blah, blah. We'll see how it goes. First conversation was good. Hopefully he looks like his pictures because, you know, that's always an issue with online dating. Hopefully he looks like his pictures. So on my way to our date, I took 285 and literally right before I got to Boulder Crest, the exit for Boulder Crest, I heard a boom and I lost control of my car. Thank God that not thank God, but I knew what to do. So I did not crash, but my tire blew out. So I called him and I said, hey, I'm so sorry, but my tire just blew on 285. I'm slowly making my way off the exit. I believe I pulled into a Chevron gas station. And I said, you know, I got to get this fixed. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm a damsel in distress kind of thing. He kind of paused. He got quiet. And he was like, you know, tell me exactly where you are. Drop your pin. So I dropped the pin. And he came to the gas station. Came to the gas station. Got out the car. And I was so relieved that he actually looked like his pictures that I was like, oh my God, he's actually attractive. Because he's like 6'4", 6'5". Oh, also, man, I apologize. So let me go back to the first conversation. Let me add something. He did tell me in the first phone call that he was divorced, and that his ex-wife, she had 2 children, a boy and a girl, who were teenagers, young adults. I think the girl was about 20. And he said that he had a very close relationship with his stepkids. But that he and his ex-wife had divorced because she cheated on him out in California. And so coming to Georgia was a new beginning for him. She was still out in California. The kids were still out in California. And so, you know, he was like, I can't stand her, but I still want to be in the kids' lives. I have to put that in there because that will come back later. So this is just setting the stage. Again, that first conversation we talked about family, job, friends, how he ended up in Georgia, me being in Georgia, the things that, you know, I would think people talk about in the first conversation. All right, now back to the tire blew out. So he shows up to the gas station. He changes my tire, which I just thought was the sexiest thing in the world. And then he proceeds to say, hey, I found a tire place around the corner. You need to get another tire. Like, you can't drive on this donut. So he followed me to the tire place, and then helped me get a tire, paid for it. So I was definitely like, wow. And so the vibe was good. So anyway, I get the tire fixed. We follow each other to the Cheesecake Factory over in Perimeter. We hold hands walking into the Cheesecake Factory. So in my mind, I'm like, this is just this. Oh my God, I had butterflies. That's the look of a woman who had butterflies. So I had butterflies. And we go in, there's a long wait, and so we sit outside and we just talk, and the conversation's great. And this is where he tells me what it is he's looking for. He tells me, you know, I believe at the time he was 42. He was like, I want to get married and it be for real. He's like, my parents were married 40 plus years before my mom passed away, and I want that. I want marriage, family, a house. Like, that is what I want. He's like, I'm as a man, I'm ready to get married, but I want it to be for real, because the first time, you know, it really hurt me when she cheated on me. So he's telling me everything that I wanted to hear. And so he was like, what is it that you want? And I said pretty much the same thing. I was like, I'm ready to get married. Definitely want to have a family. And I want to marry my best friend. So we both put on the table that we wanted marriage. And this is the end of part 1. All right.
Okay. So far to me, it's like, first red flag, online dating. Second red flag, your tie blew out on the way to the date. Third, why he didn't pick you up? Why y'all meeting at the restaurant? Fourth, he is revealing a lot of information on this first date. Seriously. It's like he's telling you his whole life story on the very first date, and I think that's a little cringy. You know, he already letting you know he got cheated on and all of this, like, and you lived here, you lived there, your mama died, oh gosh, that's too much. That's too much for me, because it seemed like he just dumping a whole lot of information on this woman right at the very beginning. So I would kind of be looking at him like, you know, but obviously she liked it. They was holding hands going in the Cheesecake Factory. So I don't know if I would have been holding his hands. Like, first of all, I just met you. Yeah, I don't know nothing about you. I don't know nothing about your, you know, how sanitary you are, where your hands been. You just changed my tie. So I don't know. It's just me. I'm kind of funny like that, but it seems like they both was like kind of moving a little too fast. But I would have took that tire blowing out as a sign. And that's just my opinion. And him dumping all this information, that would have been another sign for me. Cause like, you don't even know me, but I don't. She said they were online dating, so I don't know if they had been talking then about different things. But the way he dumping all this information on her, it don't seem like they was communicating that much online. So I don't know. It's starting off very bizarre. So yeah, let's get on to the next part, and y'all can let me know y'all thoughts about it. This first part, which was a lot. Y'all can let me know what y'all think in the chat, and let me know if y'all need me to pause it so we can get your feedback. But let's get into this next part.
Who the fuck did I marry? Part 2. So we both put on the table what it is that we wanted. We both had established we were dating for marriage. We were not dating just to date. We were not trying to be friends with benefits and none of that. So the dinner at Cheesecake Factory went really well. We laughed, we joked, we talked about people, which is kind of up my alley, my sense of humor. It was a good vibe. So at the end of the date, or excuse me, at the end of dinner, we sat in his car and he played this song for me by John Legend. I don't know the name of the song. By the time this video posts, I will put the name at the bottom. I can't remember the song. I just remember that John Legend was talking about, I think I met my wife tonight. And I thought it was a sign. So I was like, oh my God. So anyway, we ended up sitting in the car talking just about life and experiences until about midnight. So during this conversation, he again is telling me how it was, what it was like living in California, how he went out there, he went to San Diego State, he played football for San Diego State. He talked about how, he loved it out there, so he stayed. That's when he joined the company. And then he explained that he also did arena football, but only did it for about 2 or 3 years. He claims that while he was doing arena football, the team that he was on won a championship. But again, keep in mind, I don't know anything about arena football. So I was like, okay, I didn't know that they had championships. And he was like, he got a little offended, like, yeah, they got championships. And, he was on that team. So he talked to me about how he worked at Apple. He worked something in the IT area of Apple, but within the store. Again, it was one of those, it's like when I tell people I used to work at Amazon. I really wasn't paying much attention to it. Why? So we talked about all that. We talked deeply into what happened with the ex-wife. It's because I asked. He was not volunteering all this information. So in other words, I get very uncomfortable when men start talking about their ex a lot. That's not what happened. I was asking questions because I was really trying to figure out, okay, are you ready for a relationship, or are you still missing her? So we talked about that. We talked about my exes. That was a mistake I made because I talked about how I dated at one point in time somebody I worked with. That will come back later. And he seemed real cool about it. He was like, that was before me and blah, blah, blah. So the conversation was good. Midnight comes and I go home. Yes, I went home. We ended up talking. Mind you, our first date was March 7th. And within about 2.5 weeks, Brian Kemp, our governor, shut Georgia down. We were going to be on lockdown. So during those 2.5 weeks, we talked every day. We went out again at Red Lobster. I remember Red Lobster. But everything was going great. The issue was, where are we going to quarantine? So the question was, are we going to quarantine at his place, which he had like a studio type of situation. Like, it clearly, where he was staying, I was like, it's like a studio apartment, but he kept telling me like, this is temporary because I'm looking for a house. Like, he showed me the email from a woman who worked at the company where she was out on maternity leave, but she was putting him in contact with a realtor to help him find a townhome or a single family house. So I was just like, okay, this is definitely temporary. Like, he's not trying to stay here long term. And she was apologizing in the email. I'm so sorry, you know, this should have been taken care of before you got here, but it wasn't. I saw the email. I read it. I read the email. So the decision was, we're going to quarantine at the studio, or we're going to quarantine in my house? First mistake I made. Well, there's a lot, but this was a mistake I made. So ladies, caution moment. During one of our dates, because keep in mind, in those 2 weeks, we were seeing each other quite a bit. Nothing physical or anything like that. Just two people who I thought were really on some, all right, let's see if this is going to grow into something. He came to my house. When he came to my house, I had a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath townhome. He was in a studio. Now, I'm telling you guys all of this in order of how it happened. So some things I'm probably going to insert what I was thinking and the mistake I made. Can I turn this off? No. Okay, I still need that. And I say that to say that I did not realize inviting him to my home probably made his eyes go, oh shit, she's a keeper. She got this 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath townhouse, and I'm in like a little studio. Yeah, let me go ahead and pursue this. What I need to do to quarantine here. The decision was made, quarantine at my house. So the state went on lockdown. He came and stayed with me in my home, and for the most part, in the initial beginning, it was fine. It was fine. The reason why I hesitate is because I grew up in the church. So for me, it was really like an internal struggle of, bruh, you always said you would never live with a guy unless he was your husband. And now you living with a dude and he ain't your husband. Like, it was a struggle for me because I knew better. And don't come for me. I'm just telling you the way I grew up. It was like that. It was not sitting right with me. But at the same time, I didn't want to quarantine by myself. I did not want to. So there we go. So he moved in. We talked about the bills. Let me clear something up that I said in the other video where I said he paid all the bills. He paid all the household bills. He did not pay my car payment, my cell phone, or my car insurance. He paid the rent, because my rent at the time was less than $1,000. He paid the utility bills. And so when he's telling me that he's a regional manager, I was like, wow, okay, so you got money. And so he paid all the household bills. So my check really was just taking care of me, myself, and I. And I am not, this is where it's not gonna make me look good, but it's the truth. It was intoxicating to not have to worry financially about how to pay the bills. It was a wonderful feeling. And so I kind of pushed to the side the fact that, yeah, you shacking up, because it's like, but your page, you don't have to worry right now. Like, he's taking care of all of April's bills before April even comes, because this was still March. So we're living together, and I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, he's helping to cook and clean, and then we have a conversation about house. Is he still going to buy a house just for him, or is he going to buy a house where it's for us? Because we are going to try to make this thing work, be official, get married, have a family. So the question now on the table is, what are we going to do? Because I didn't want to stay in Riverdale, Georgia. I did not want to raise a family there. I refused to have a baby in Clayton County. So the decision was made, let's start looking for a house for both of us. Remember, he was already looking for a house for him. But then he was like, you know what? We're together. I plan to marry you. Let's look for a family home for the two of us. He was like, this is how much I was approved for. That's when he showed me the Chase paperwork. It was a letter stating that and it had the Chase emblem at the top. He showed me a letter stating that he was approved for $700. All right, part 3. Who the fuck did I marry?
Now she's starting to confuse me a little bit, because first of all, she said that they were about to go into quarantine. 2 weeks passed and they talking to each other, hanging out, going out, whatever, dates or whatever like that. But then she brought up something about him staying in a studio apartment. But then she saw some paperwork with where he was trying to get some other type of apartment. So I'm confused about why would he be so excited to see your little townhouse if he was already in the process of trying to get something different. And why would he be so excited thinking you a keeper, but he came in paying all your bills? Meaning if his studio apartment was for the cheap and he coming over here with you to spend out more, like that part ain't making no sense to me. Also, like, why was this marriage thing right here at the beginning? You barely know this dude. And everything she talking about thus far is just based on money. Like, he's telling you he works here, he been here, he arena football, this, that, and the other. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's all based on money. And she seemed like she felt like he was the keeper because he was talking all this sweet nothingness about his bag to her. That's the way I'm taking this. Like, you the one looking a little excited. When he ran that arena football by you, and he a regional manager for Apple, and he already got all this paperwork trying to get his own self established in a home and all of that, you seem like you was a little thirsty. So yeah, I'm not buying that he was, head over heels about her because of where she living at and where she working at. And I think I heard her say she worked at Amazon. So yeah, that's my take on that. This is already sounding a little, fishy. But yeah, let's get into part 3. And also, why I don't understand why she couldn't quarantine by herself. If y'all had already been seeing each other and going out on dates and all of that for the 2 weeks, then why was it an issue about quarantining by yourself? Like, I don't get that either. Like, why were you in such a hurry to move this man in? That's kind of weird too, but let's continue.
So this is when he showed me a letter from Chase with the Chase logo at the top, stating that he had been approved for a mortgage for a $750,000 mortgage, or a $750,000 house. So he was like, we can't go over $750,000. And I said, I remember asking him, can you afford the mortgage on a $750,000 house? Because I know I can. This is when he explains to me, I told you how I played arena football. I invested my money really well. So he said, I have money that will help pay for the mortgage. He was like, we're good. Like, I'm financially, I am okay. He was like, that's why I'm able to get approved for $750,000 mortgage. So he told me that his money was in different savings accounts. He said he had an account with Chase Bank, he had an account with US Bank, and he had an offshore account. This is what he told me. The offshore account, I was like, why? And he explained something about, the US, the US imposes taxes on money when you have a certain amount in US banks. He was like, so everybody knows that it's smart to have some money in an offshore account. Y'all, look, I live paycheck to paycheck. I was like, okay, that's whatever. I said, so you have the money to pay for a home. I'm also holding in my hand a letter from Chase saying that he was approved for $750,000. So I went off of what I saw. So we contacted a realtor. I won't say his name, but man, if he ever sees this TikTok, I owe this man such an apology. But we contacted a realtor who is based in Cobb County, because I was very adamant I wanted to move back to Marietta, Smyrna area in Cobb County, Georgia. He was fine with that. His whole attitude was, you're going to be my wife, happy life. So we met a realtor. I would find houses that I wanted to tour. Keep in mind that this was COVID. So at the time, we could not tour a home. It would have to be a virtual tour. So this particular realtor, we found a house in Douglasville, Georgia. Not Cobb County, but nevertheless, it's in Douglasville. I was fine with Douglasville. So we found a house in Douglasville, Georgia. The realtor did a FaceTime tour of the house. The house was a nice home. 5 bedrooms, 4 baths. So we did a FaceTime tour of the home. And the home was listed, I believe, roughly 400 and something thousand. I really like the house. I could see myself living there. I could see us living there. Could see us with the kid there. This is now April, just for timeline purposes. This is April. So he really liked the house. He was like, you know what? We'll put an offer in on the house. He was like, if you like it, because again, it was COVID, we weren't going to be able to see the house in person because the family still lived there. So he said, I'll put an offer in. We'll see if it's accepted. I said, okay. So he puts an offer in. He's telling me he put an offer in. I need to clarify some things he told me and the things that I actually saw. So for this house in Douglasville, he told me he was putting an offer in. The realtor would call me, because one thing that the realtor told us, he was like, if the woman likes the house, typically the house is going to get bought. So he kind of dealt with me a bit more than he did my ex-husband. And again, this is April 2020. This is before we got married. So at the time, he was my boyfriend. So the realtor was calling me and was like, hey, I put the offer in, and what they're asking for is proof of funds. And I did not know anything at this time about buying a house. So I was like, hey, you probably need to talk to him, because I'm not even listed on the mortgage. Like, from the paperwork I saw, it was only in his name. So he called him. I guess they talked. I was not there, but I'm assuming that they had talked. So the boyfriend is coming, my ex is coming home saying, yeah, I talked to so-and-so. I sent him over the paperwork. The offer was approved, and they are going to try to do a virtual closing. First, we got to do an inspection. If the inspection goes all well, then we have to do a virtual closing. He also told me that he put down earnest money on the home. He put down, I believe, $5,000. He said, I just transferred the money over to the realtor's account or whatever, so that it could be earnest money for the house. So I'm just like, okay, great. He was like, so realistically, this is April. We should be able to get in that house by June. Okay, no problem. So this is what he told me. About 3 or 4 days later, I get a phone call from the realtor. And the realtor is like, hey, I'm just checking to see what you guys want to do about that house. So I was confused. I'm at work. And I said, oh, I was told that he put an offer in. And the realtor was like, he did? I didn't know that he put an offer in. And I said, well, why wouldn't you know? Like, he told me he put the offer in, and he had paid earnest money, $5,000 earnest money. And so the realtor was like, well, let me call him and find out what's going on with that, because I didn't know anything about it. So red flag, of course. So I call him, and he in true narcissistic nature, he flips the script and he like goes off. He's like cussing, going off, like he shouldn't, excuse me, I have the hiccups. He shouldn't be calling you. If he has a question, he should call me, because I'm the one that's on the mortgage. He was like, and now it's going to be an issue. And I said, well, did you put the offer in with him or not? And he said, no, I did not put the offer in with him. I put the offer in with a friend of mine who is a realtor, so I can give him the business. So I did not hear from that realtor again. So I was just like, is the house under contract or is it not? He was like, yes, the house is under contract. This is how crazy things work out. About 3 days later, on realtor.com, I'm looking at the house because I was trying to figure out in my mind how I'm going to decorate. It shows the house is under contract. So, showed my boyfriend. My boyfriend's like, I told you it was under contract. He was like, I did you not believe me? And I ain't had the heart to say, hell no, I didn't believe you. Like, it seemed too good to be true. But once I saw the house was under contract, I absolutely believe that, okay, it's under contract with him. Like, yeah, we're about to do inspection. We are about to move. And so we had driven by the house because, again, keep in mind, a family's still living there. So we had driven by the house. At this point, he was like, I want us to start looking for furniture so that way we can go ahead and order it. So when it's time to move, the furniture is ready, because, it takes like 6 to 8 weeks sometimes for furniture to be delivered if they don't have it in stock. Like, he was very methodical and planning and saying, this is what we need to do. So we started going to Home Depot, Lowe's, because we had a printout of what the sellers were going to take. They were going to take the appliances. He had a printout. Let me be clear. He had a printout. So it said on there that they were going to take the appliances. So we needed to get a new stove, new refrigerator, new microwave, all that stuff. So we went to Home Depot and Lowe's, and I went ham. I chose all these new appliances. And here's where we get into the shopping. All right.
I just find it hard to believe that somebody that you barely known for a month is ready to buy you a $400,000 house, barely knows you. And I just find it hard to believe that she wasn't involved in buying the home like most women. If this is your man, you're going to be right there with him when he's signing the paperwork, when he's putting down the deposit or whatever. And then she said that the realtor or whoever this person was mainly in contact with her. So it's like, how come they're not letting you know what's going on step by step? You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's kind of weird. Like, you don't know too many men that you claim y'all weren't sexual or anything. Y'all just quarantining together. And all of a sudden, he's ready to buy you a $400,000 home. And all of a sudden, y'all need to go furniture shopping. Like you said, he had his own place. You have a 3-bedroom. Like, why do y'all need so much furniture? Like, why can't you use the furniture that both of you already have? Like, if she was that gullible, I see why she got. And then, like, why aren't you asking to see all of the paperwork step by step? Like, you're moving into this home too. Your life is about to change as well. Like, you need to be just as involved as he is. Instead of just saying, I didn't know anything about buying a home and all of this. Like, you're an adult and you know about renting properties. Obviously, you need to be right there seeing what these contracts are saying. What is he signing? You know, what's going on? But it's just weird. Like, and then somebody was already living in the home, and then you saying y'all not gonna be able to move into another couple of months. I don't get that part, but whatever. Cause it's not like y'all were like the family that's living there prior. We don't know if they were renting it, but you said it was under contract. Obviously, they were the ones who had it under contract. I don't know. It just seems odd. And then y'all already putting in offers trying to buy this home that you haven't been able to even walk through to see. It had to be virtual, which is still odd, because if you plan on buying something, they're going to make arrangements for you to be able to walk through the property. So I'm just not understanding why she wasn't more involved and why she was so nonchalant about it when it was her life too, and why she just believing everything that he's saying. Like, but somehow he came up with all this money to pay her bills and to go appliance shopping at Lowe's and Home Depot. So obviously he had some money from somewhere, is what I'm gathering. And like she said, he came in and started paying her bills, which was only a month worth for that April. So apparently he had money from somewhere. So the man said family making time. Yeah, but why are y'all talking about and thinking about this in a month's time? That's like really, really weird. I get people getting older, they biological clocks and stuff like that ticking, but still, that doesn't need to be my first conversation with you. Our first date, we not talking about no churn. We not talking about getting married. Now, it's good to know that you date to marry, but right now, I don't even know you enough to marry you. I don't care how much money you got and all of this, that, and the other. Like, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Never did she mention what kind of car he driving, how he was dressed. Like, what about him made you think that he had money like that? Like, anyway, let's get back into it, because, like, yeah.
Part 4. So we go to Home Depot, we go to Lowe's. I'm choosing all these appliances. He's taking pictures of the SKU number. We had representatives helping us, and he basically explained to them, hey, we're buying a house. We should be closing sometime in June. Can we order this stuff now? Can I put a hold on it? Like, what can we do? Because we're not ready for delivery. I stood there as the Home Depot rep said, we can hold it in our warehouse. Like, you can buy something and we can hold it. People do it all the time, especially with COVID. So I watched him pay. I want to say it was about it was either $350 or $500. I watched him pay a deposit on a whole new set of appliances for them, and they were going to hold it until we were ready for delivery. I watched this. So I was like, okay, good deal. Like, we got the appliances. Next, let's go to Rooms to Go and Ashley Furniture and find actual furniture. So we went all around Rooms to Go. We went to Ashley Furniture. We went to American Signature. And I saw all these things that I wanted. Again, he's taking pictures of it. He was like, I can go online and order it. I didn't think anything of it because, again, I just saw that we held the appliances. So I was like, okay, that's fine. So April turns into May. May 2020 comes. This is where things start to get a little interesting. May comes, and obviously we had not done inspection. And I'm asking him all the time, what's the deal with the house? He was like, oh, because of COVID, they're trying to get someone to do the inspection. But the guy that they had, it was always something. The guy they had caught COVID, so they're going to have to get somebody else. And he's like 15 houses backed up, so it'll be a while. So at this point in May, I know I look crazy. In this point in May of 2020,
I'm scared. I just want to be by myself.
Let me get through this commercial right quick, y'all.
I started recording audio diaries. I don't know why. It was something just made me just start recording my thoughts in an audio diary, and I still have them. And I would save them by the date, and I would just start talking about what's on my mind. So I was like, I knew there was something was nagging me, like, but I kept pushing it out of my mind. I was like, you saw, this is what I reminded myself. You saw him pay for the appliances. You know the house is under contract. You know that he told you that he's the one who put the house under contract. Why would, like, I remember saying to myself, why would he lie about that? This is so easy to verify. Why would he lie about that? Have you caught him in any other lie? And at the time, the answer was no. So I really was like, maybe you just aren't used to a guy who actually does what he's supposed to do. Like, I was questioning myself and then answering my own questions. So inspection didn't happen. Around mid-May, I found out I was pregnant. May 2020. When I found out I was pregnant, he was ecstatic and I was like, oh shit. The reason why I was oh shit is because, number one, I'm plus size. Number two, because of my age, I felt like it was probably going to be a high risk pregnancy. And I wasn't married. And that nagged. I cannot tell y'all how much it nagged me. There was a lot of internal struggle in between. My family didn't even know that he had moved in at this point. I told them, that I was pregnant, went to the doctor, everything looked good. But again, because it was COVID, he couldn't go in with me into the actual room. So, doing any sort of ultrasound, doing the blood test, because my HCG levels were really high. So the doctor was like, hey, it might be twins. We don't know yet. You're still kind of early, along. They gave me a due date. The due date was January 26th of 2021. So yeah, May, found out I was pregnant. So there was now more of a push into, we got to get a house. We got to get the fuck up out of here. I'm not having a baby in Riverdale. Okay, nothing against Riverdale, but I ain't having a baby in Riverdale. So we need to find out what's going on with this house. And so he was on top of it. He had an answer for everything. He was like, I'm gonna call and find out what's going on, blah blah blah. He then magically told me about a week later, oh, they're going to do inspection on the house like in 2 days. So I was just like, okay, keep in mind, I'm taking his word for it. I'm taking his word for all this. So he's like, they're going to do an inspection. Once we get the inspection report back, then we will know what we are going to be responsible for. What are we getting ourselves into? So, I guess they did an inspection. He showed me an inspection report. Only thing that they said that the roof had just recently been replaced, which I remember he was very happy about. And the issues that there were for the house were minor. It was not a bad, because we did have a discussion about it. He was like, it's nothing that we can't handle. Then he said that we were set to close the end of May. We were set to close the end of May. He told me it was going to be a virtual closing. You're probably like, what the hell is a virtual closing? Because again, he's saying because of COVID, people are not closing in the office. They're doing a virtual closing where you would need to electronically sign the paperwork. This is what he's telling me. And so he was like, we're set to close like just before Memorial Day. And so for some reason, again, there's still that nagging part. For some reason, I didn't start packing. Anyone that knows me will tell you I hate moving. I've done it enough in my life. I hate moving. But I did not start packing up that house at all. I was just like, I'm pregnant. My body was changing so fast that it was like I can barely keep my eyes open half the day. And so, no, I didn't start packing. And I remember I did record, again, I was recording audio diaries just about every day. When something didn't sit right, I would verbally record it in the audio diary because I was like, I don't know what it is, but there's something. That was the theme of our relationship. I don't know what it is, but I know there's something. And so I remember talking to myself in my little prayer closet, because that's where I would do my recordings. And I remember thinking, what if we don't get this house? Like, what if he's lying? But again, there goes that thought process of, why would he lie about this? Like, who makes up that they're buying a house when in fact they're not? And then he's showing you all this paperwork. Like, come on, you can't be that jaded that you don't even believe what's in front of you. All right? So now we're going to go into part 5.
Here's one.
Okay, so now she pregnant. He's still bringing her paperwork. See, that's where I'm saying this story is kind of like contradictory, because if he can bring you all this paperwork that he got, and when it comes time to close, now it's got to be virtual. So he got physical paperwork that he's constantly showing you, meaning that he went to meet up with someone to get this paperwork. But when it comes time to closing, you know, it's got to be virtual or online. Like, everybody knows when you buying a house, oh, it gonna be wet ink signatures, no virtual nothing. So y'all better mask up to come in and sign these papers. But yeah, all of a sudden she's pregnant. Once again, by her being pregnant already, that's letting me know, like, girl, you trying to bag him. You think this man got money. You think he's a baller. He chose you. And you trying to hurry up and have this baby, talking about you ain't married and all of this. Girl, bye. So yeah, it's just, once again, it's sounding a little bit bizarre. But what she is letting us know that she was very, very gullible in this. And then if you were making a video diary or audio diary, then why didn't you just play the actual audio, video, whatever you was doing? Why didn't you just play that so we could see, like, at that moment in time, you this is what you were going through or whatever like that. But I'm about to go ahead and play the next part because I gotta go answer my door. So yeah, let me go ahead and play that.
Okay, part 5. Who the fuck did I marry? So I'm questioning all this stuff in my head out loud on my audio diaries. And then once again, I'm like, but look at what he's giving you. Like, he's paying. It wasn't a question about money. It was just a question of, are we really about to move into this house? And keep in mind, he's paying all the household bills. He still is. So we were supposed to close before Memorial Day. We didn't. There was an excuse. There was always an excuse with him. Always an excuse. And I didn't know enough about the process to question stuff because I really wasn't involved the way I should have been. And it was giving me a lot of anxiety. So I'm pregnant with a lot of anxiety. And if I'm gonna be 100% honest with y'all, I was not expecting that I was probably going to have a healthy pregnancy because I was stressed. And what I was stressed about is I didn't know what was going on because I wasn't really involved the way that a normal relationship would be involved. Just being honest. So we did not close. We move now into June. This is now going into June. Around June 5th, I looked at the house again on Realtor.com. I don't know what made me do it other than, and I don't mean to sound super spiritual. I know that people are like, you know, you may or may not believe in God, but I'm telling you, I believe with all my heart, probably the Holy Spirit was like, look at that house on Realtor.com. So I looked at the house on Realtor.com. This was around June 5th. It showed that the house was off the market. And I remember being like, okay, wait, what does that mean? What does that mean? Because ex-husband is telling me we're about to close on the house. We're about to close. It's our house. We got furniture, da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. He's also telling me that he's been in contact with the realtor, his friend, who was telling him, you know, this is what was happening next. Here's what's going on. So the guy that we initially worked with apparently is completely out of the picture. But again, I was not heavily involved. So I'm just like, let me look at the house. I see it's off market. What the fuck does off market mean? Like, now I'm really freaking out. So it shows the name of the real estate agent for the seller. I don't remember her name. I called her and I said, you know, I said, my husband and I even though I wasn't married. My husband and I were looking at this house at 123 Main Street, and we really wanted to tour it, but now I'm showing it's off market. Is it not available? Or, I pulled that card, and she was like, oh, no, ma'am. The home closed yesterday. It closed June 4th. Again, there are certain dates I just remember.
We all know anything can happen out there. Sometimes we feel lost. We push and we suffer. We keep going. That makes all the difference. Hey, what happened to you, boy? You don't look so good. Meatball? Look, somebody likes my meatballs. Hey, Paw Patrol, we got a race to win.
Just remember, Michael, this race doesn't define you.
I raced for 19 years. This is my last chance to win.
3, 2, 1.
I was a young boy living in the city. All I did was run, 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 run.
Over the next 10 days, these athletes will cross 400 miles climbing, biking, and kayaking.
That dot is Daddy.
Go, Daddy, Dot.
That's the dog I gave the meatballs to. 3 days, 200 miles ago. Leave the stupid dog and let's go. Come on. Move, dumb dog. What is it, boy? Oh, God. Can't believe I almost walked right off that cliff. Extra meatballs for you, my friend. He's hurting. What do you think he went through before he met us?
Whatever it wasn't good.
How the hell did he get all the way from here to there while we were on bikes and zip lines and running and climbing?
He must have wings we don't know about.
Oh, boy.
You know I'm back, like I never left.
You want to start to embrace the buckets of pain?
I need a bigger bucket.
Team Broad Rail has traveled over 200 miles, and they found a companion.
Daddy has a dog?
What have you done?
Think you found your new partner in suffering, Michael?
Yeah,
He's the king. I think we should call him Arthur. Arthur the king.
How's he doing?
he's been through so much.
This dog needs a vet. I don't want you to hurt anymore. He's a fighter.
Just like you.
Famous dog. Looks even worse than the rest of you. Maybe you all deserve each other.
Always underestimated.
And I said, oh, it closed June 4th? I was like, really? And she said, yes, ma'am. She was like, my sellers sold the house. And I was like, oh, man, okay. Well, I said, my husband and I really wanted, we love the pictures of it. And we're getting ready to start a family. So I would have loved to have been able to, have the opportunity to see it. I asked her something. I don't remember the specific question I asked her. And I know why I asked the question, because I was anticipating that my boyfriend at the time was going to have some sort of excuse. So I asked her something about the buyers. And I remember, and somehow, again, forgive me, I don't remember the question I asked her. But the answer was that it was an older white couple. So I get off the phone with her. I record an audio diary, and in the audio diary, I specifically say, okay, there is no house. He's going to have to get out of this lie somehow. Because now I realize, at the very least, he was lying about him being the one who was under contract. I knew enough about that. So I was like, what, how was he going to get out of this? Again, I've listened to the audio diary in 2024. I literally said in that audio diary, how is he going to get out of this lie? And I was trying to think of ways on how he's going to do it. And something said to me, because I say it on the audio diary, I said, he's going to say it's a bad deal. And he's going to say he wants to pull out. Y'all keep in mind, I am pregnant. So I had a decision to make. as ugly as this decision was, I made the decision, you're about to have a baby with this man. He's paying all the household bills. Let him get out of the lie. And that's what I did. I purposely made the decision that I knew he was going to come back, and I knew he was going to give me some bullshit on why he couldn't buy the house, because he didn't know that I knew that house is already sold. The house is already sold.
Hey, want to know how I got this $50,000 check for an accident I was involved in?
Part where I said, I'm gonna be honest, even though it's gonna make me look bad, because most women in their right mind would have been like, I'm out, and I didn't. So sure enough, he came home. He didn't really say anything that day. The next day I asked him about the house, and he said, my friend, the realtor, he was like, I'm talking to him because something's going on with the interest rate. And when he said that, I felt so much relief, because I knew that I had been prepared for, he's going to give you some bullshit. So when he said there's something with the interest rate, I said, you know what? If this is literally what I said, y'all. If the interest rate isn't good, then we shouldn't move there. We should probably let this house go. We should cancel whatever furniture we ordered, or, you know, appliances, and let's just look for another house. I said, I would like to be moved before the end of the year. I said, I really don't want to be 9 months pregnant moving into a house. I would like to be done with this before then. And the way I said it was so calm, and he was like, okay. He was like, I'm gonna call the friend, the realtor, and tell him I'm backing out of the house, and I'm gonna see if I can get my earnest money back. And I remember looking at him. I was standing in the kitchen, and I cocked my head to the side, and I said, okay, get your earnest money back, and let's find another house. And so that's how that first house fell through. So, fast forward, I keep looking at this to see how much time I have, because you know they only give you 10 minutes. So this is part 5, part 6 is coming up. But subsequently, what ends up happening the next week, which is mid-June, I was at work, and I started cramping, started bleeding. And at this point, my doctor, I had just had an ultrasound earlier that day. So I went to work, because the ultrasound was fine. I went to work, and the cramping and the bleeding started, and I started crying because I kind of knew what was going on. And my doctor had called me and told me that when they did the ultrasound, they did not see a heartbeat. So she was like, this pregnancy is not going to be viable. So I'm crying, hysterical, and now we're going to get into part 6.
My apologies, y'all. I'm having interference that's going on, so I missed a whole section. But just her getting into this whole pregnancy situation, it's like, first of all, if those doctors did not see no heartbeat while they were doing the ultrasound, while you were in their facility, and they did not tell you then, they not gonna call you later and tell you. They gonna tell you right then what's going on, blah 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 blah, and they not gonna send you packing back to work. So that part is unbelievable too. Like, girl, really? But anywho, but I'm gonna try to be paying attention from here. I missed the whole section. I'm gonna have to run that back on my own time. But let's continue.
Okay, so this is part 6 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So, where we left off. So, obviously, my doctor had called and told me there was no heartbeat, the pregnancy was not viable at that point, and I was cramping and spotting at work. Went into my best friend's office and immediately started crying. She was like, "What's going on?" And I said, I told her what the doctor said, and she grabbed her keys, grabbed her purse, and was like, "Let's go, I'm taking you home." On my way home, I called my boyfriend and told him what the doctor said, and he was like, "I'll meet you at home." So he was coming from Duluth, went straight home. And so about 24, 48 hours later, I had a doctor's appointment, and my doctor gave me 3 options. First option, let everything happen naturally. Your body will expel the fetus on its own. Second option, you can take a pill which will induce expelling the fetus at home. The pill basically will cause you to contract and expel. The third option was to go into the hospital and do a D&C. I did not want to do a D&C because I did not want to be in a hospital with COVID going on. And for whatever reason, I did not do the option of let it happen naturally. So I chose to do the pill. His birthday was June 17th. My ex's birthday was June 17th. So the decision was made, we're going to celebrate his birthday that day, go out to eat. And then that night I would take the pill because we both were off from work the next 2 or 3 days. So went out to eat to try to celebrate as best we could, and then took the pill that night. That night was the most traumatic, excruciating pain I've ever put my body through. I do not recommend any woman, if prayerfully you don't have to go through that, but I don't recommend taking that pill. If you don't have to, don't do it. I spent the whole night in the bathroom just crying in so much pain. They gave me a narcotic. I couldn't take it because I found out I was allergic to it, so it was causing me to like projectile vomiting, and it was a mess. So, and he was right there. You know, he was scared that he needed to take me to the ER, but in the morning, the pain kind of subsided. So about 72 hours later, I had another doctor's appointment where the purpose of this appointment was to do an ultrasound to see if everything had passed. Everything did not pass. So because of that, my doctor was like, we're going to have to do a D&C. My D&C was scheduled for the first week of July. My boyfriend, my ex, was going to take me. That was always the plan. 2 days before my procedure, he comes home and tells me that he is up for a promotion. He's up to be promoted to VP. Because of this, the president of the company, is coming in, and it was going to be this huge business meeting he had to go to. The business meeting was scheduled for the day of my surgery. And so I'm throwing a fit because I was like, there's no way you can do that meeting. Like, I need you to take me to the hospital and all this other stuff. And so he offered to have his sister take me to the hospital. Apparently his sister lived in Douglasville. I was like, no, because I've never met her. Like, I'm not having a stranger take me to the hospital. No, this is a private situation. I don't want to do that, blah, blah, blah. So my aunt had offered to take me, and then my friend who took me home from work had offered to take me. So at that point, we get into an argument because he's like, my sister is, you know, you about your family, so why can't she step in? And I was like, nah, because I don't know her. Period. I don't know her. So my friend offers to take me to the hospital because I was all distressed that he's saying he has a business meeting and he can't take me.
Watch NCAA March Madness.
So I remember being on I-75 on the connector on the phone with her crying because I was so embarrassed that he wasn't going to be the one to take me and that I was needing to rely on someone else to take me to the hospital in order to get a D&C done. And she was really great. She was like, girl, this is why you have a village. Like, it's okay. Things happen. The world is crazy right now. I will take you. You're going to be okay. So he did not take me to the hospital for my D&C. My friend did. She could not stay because of COVID protocol. So when they wheeled me into pre-op after I got checked in, I texted him and was just letting him know, hey, here's the update. I'm about to, I'm in pre-op. They're going to get me prepared to go back to the surgical ward or whatever. And the response I got was from his new executive assistant named David. Now, when he told me he was up for the promotion, he did tell me that part of getting this new job would be that he would get an executive assistant named David. And he did tell me, I'm going to make sure that I inform David if you get a text from this number, meaning from me, pull me out of the meeting because, my fiance's having a procedure done and I'm picking her up. So it's important that you come get me if it's something serious. So I text him. David responds. He said, yeah, Mr. Blah Blah told me that you are having a procedure done. If you need me to get him, I can go get him. He's in a meeting. Just let me know what you need. And I just said, no, don't bother him. I'm just giving an update that they're about to take me back. And David responds and says, I'm so sorry you're going through this. Please let me know if there's anything I can do. So I have the procedure. I wake up and I am now in recovery. I should be in recovery 45 minutes up to an hour and a half. I wake up. First thing I ask, and I remember asking, is where is so-and-so? The nurse who was so sweet, she was like, everything went well. You're doing great. She said, we spoke to your fiance. He's on his way. So I said, okay, okay. I kind of dozed back out, but I could still hear everything that was going on. I just could not keep my eyes open to save my life. So I hear her talk to the other nurse. And that's when she said, yeah, Dr. So-and-so called her fiance and his executive assistant picked up. And the executive assistant said that he was in a business meeting and that, you could relate to him what you need to say and he'll tell the fiance. And my doctor was like, hell no, HIPAA, I need to speak to him. So apparently my fiance called the doctor back about 30 minutes later, and the doctor informed him she'll be ready to be discharged in about an hour. You can make your way and come pick her up. He said he was on his way. He was on his way from Duluth to Atlanta, which is not a huge distance, but the time of day, one thing about Atlanta, there's always traffic. So he should have been there within the hour. I should have only been in recovery an hour and a half. Let's go to the next part. Part 7, who the fuck did I marry? So I should have been in recovery at Northside Hospital for about at most an hour and a half. Subsequently, I ended up being in recovery between 3 to 3.5 hours. The nurses kept calling my ex, asking what's the status, because they were actually getting ready to do a shift change. So they kept calling, asking what's the status, like, where are you? I want to say that they called a total of 3 times and they spoke to him twice. So at this point, I knew that they were all like, where's her fiance? Like, what is going on? He said he was stuck in traffic, and so he was making his way there. He eventually did get to Northside Hospital, and they wheeled me down, because again, he couldn't come in, just because of the protocols. So when I got in the car, and I'm in pain, but yet drugged up, couldn't keep my eyes open, I was just out of it. But I remember him calling my aunt and my mother and letting them know, I picked her up, we're on the way home, let me get her settled, and then I'll give you guys an update. I remember that. What I did not know was that he had texted my aunt and my mom and asked them to not bother me for like a week. Like, just please don't reach out to her. Let her just rest. I am from New Jersey. I am from an African American family. You don't tell my black mama or my black aunt that, please don't bother her for a week. I didn't know this at the time, but I'm just interjecting that part. I'm trying to stay in the timeline, but he did apparently do that, and my aunt was like, "Boy, I will fuck you up." Anyway, so go home. He waits on me hand and foot. I recover. Just needed about 24 to 48 hours to just get my mind right. During this time, in between when the house in Douglasville fell through, we had not talked about a house. So I guess it was about a week later, after the DNC, he decides that, do you want to start looking for a house again? Excuse me, I have hiccups, y'all. Do you want to start looking for a house again? Because of what happened with the house in Douglasville, I felt like I was smarter this time to say, I want to be involved in every aspect, because I don't know what the fuck happened with that house in Douglasville. But what I do know is that he lied to me. I didn't know then what I know now. I just knew he lied about I knew he lied about being under contract. So I told him, I said, I don't want to work with your friend who I've never met, never talked to. I know that he has talked to him because he's talked to him in front of me. And I'm going to demonstrate on one of the videos how he used to do his phone calls. Don't worry, it's coming. So we found a new real estate agent. Really nice guy. His name was Scott. I am using his real name. Really nice guy. And we told him what the budget was. And Scott was like, okay, when you guys are ready, we can start looking at houses. Try to look for houses that are empty, because you can actually tour those. If it's a house where someone's already living in there, chances are it's going to have to be a virtual tour because of COVID. So I found a house that I absolutely, in total, we must have looked at about 15 houses. But I found a house in Smyrna that I absolutely loved.
Eve to me is basically
we toured the house. Everything about this house was perfect. The house was listed for $699,000. It was a brand new construction build. The only issue was that the basement was not finished, and he wanted the basement to be his man cave. Again, I went with him to tour this house. So this was already feeling very different than the situation in Douglasville, because we did not actually tour the Douglasville house. We only did a FaceTime virtual tour. This house in Smyrna, we toured. We toured this house more than once. And it was gorgeous. Fucking gorgeous. So we talked about it. He said that he had the money. Again, the price was $699. He said he felt comfortable putting in an all-cash offer. If you remember on the videos before, he told me he had money in his savings from when he played football. So when he said an all-cash offer, even I knew, you got that kind of money? Like, where you can cut a cashier's check for $699,000? And he told me he did. He had money in savings from when he played football, and he was very comfortable paying all cash for this home. So the real estate agent, Scott, sent over the paperwork. The paperwork was sent in both of our names. It was sent to my email. That was another thing that I changed after Douglasville. Everything gets sent to me, and then I will be sure that he signs it. So he sent it to me. I looked over the offer. We were going to put in an all cash, full price offer with a request to have the basement finished. Also, we were requesting for the seller to give us an answer within 24 hours. We were requesting a quick closing. These are just some of the things I remember. I remember 24 hours, like I didn't want to wait on y'all think about it. 24 hours, let us know if you're accepting the offer or not. And then also a quick closing, because it was a new construction. So we didn't have to wait for the current tenant to move out. We didn't have to do that. So I watched in our bedroom as he pulled it up, because it was a electronic document. He signed his name to the offer for $699,000 cash. He requested again, the seller let us know in 24 hours if they were accepting the offer. So we submitted the offer at around 6 p.m. We were requesting that by 6 p.m. the next day, they let us know if the offer was accepted or not. I watched him sign the offer. I sent the offer back to Scott from my email. All parties had signed. Scott texted us and said, I got it. I'm submitting it. I will let you know what they say. Let's go into part 7.
First of all, this whole pregnancy part, it's like, why did she brush over that part? She only said he waited on her hand and foot when they made it back home. It's like when couples lose a baby, it seems like they will go into a grieving process. No matter what part, of her pregnancy she was in, it's like she just brushed over that. Like, I'm confused. I'm not understanding how he knew her aunt and mother enough to tell them don't call her for a week, whereas when he tried to get you to allow his sister to take you to the doctor, you didn't even want to meet her. You talking about you don't know her. So at what point were you going to meet his family? Like, you were pregnant with their niece or nephew. So I don't get that part. I don't understand how now y'all looking at a new house And the last house didn't go through. He only could pay what did she call it? Some earnest money, $5,000 of earnest money on the other house that didn't go through. Now all of a sudden they're sending you the paperwork to your email. Like the last house, you didn't have no parts of. You were just the liaison. Now on this one, they sending you documents, both of y'all name on the documents, and you making sure it gets sent back. And all of a sudden, he got all this money to pay cash for this house. It's like, why did he pay the $5,000 or supposedly pay $5,000 for the other house, but this house, all of a sudden, he got $699,000 out the blue. This is girl, I'm confused. But like I said, I missed the whole part. Now I noticed when she said she was in the hospital, they started calling her boyfriend the fiance. So did he propose to her somewhere along in here? Like now y'all engaged? Is that why you're so involved in this house versus the last house? Anyway, let's get on to the next part.
Sorry, let's go into part 8. Good grief, this is getting long. All right, part 8 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So we submitted an offer on the house in Smyrna. I sent it over to Scott, our realtor, and next day comes, Scott asked if we can take a phone call. So he calls us and tells us that the offer was not accepted and the builder did not do a counter offer. We don't exactly know why. We don't exactly know why he didn't accept it, but the bottom line is that we figured out later on that he didn't want to finish the basement. So the offer was not accepted. The house fell through. I was okay with that because, again, I knew he had put in an offer. So we continued looking at other houses. We found another house in Smyrna that he really liked. I thought that it was way too big for just the two of us. And so the price of this home was much higher than the $750,000 that Chase had approved for the mortgage. So what he explained to me was that he was willing to do the $750,000 mortgage, and he was also willing to put a significant amount of the money in savings on the house, which meant that he was now comfortable going from $750,000 up to about $900,000. Again, his whole explanation was, I have the money where I can put down a substantial down payment, bring down the price of the home, and then basically mortgage the rest of it. So that was now the plan. I was not comfortable with a home over $900,000. But again, keep in mind, I saw the Chase paperwork. So I was like, I just feel more comfortable sticking at the $750,000 mark. That's what you were approved for. Let's go with that. By this point, this is now fall of 2020. We had been talking about marriage. I had my ring. He had made VP at the company. And again, he was calling me every day from work. I need to kind of explain how the company was ran, because when you think VP, you would think he would be in an office. It was a condiment company, so they actually were producing the condiments, and I'm not saying the name of the company on purpose, but they were producing the condiments in this particular plant location. So a lot of times he would simply tell me that he walked the floor, checking in with his subordinates, basically. Now, how did he go to work? For the most part, at this point, he left before I woke up. However, pretty much he wore dress pants, kind of like a dark navy blue cargo pant, and he had a polo shirt with the company logo on it. What I saw a lot of times is that he would not wear the polo shirt to work. He would wear like a company t-shirt. He would wear rubber sole shoes and the navy blue cargo pants. I didn't think it was a uniform, but it reminded me of what someone would wear when I worked at Amazon, if you're going to be doing manual labor. He didn't go to work sloppy looking at all, but it definitely was not suit and tie. Nowhere near suit and tie. It is fair to note that outside of work, he was a man who he loved to dress. He loved to wear the latest Jordans. He loved to collect watches. He collected a lot of Invicta watches. He loved to collect hats. He wore hats, baseball caps everywhere because he didn't like the shape of his head. So in terms of how he dressed casually, the man, he could dress. In terms of how he dressed for work, yeah, he didn't dress like a VP. But his excuse was, I'm constantly walking the production floor, and I can't be in a suit and tie walking the production floor where they're creating the condiments that we're selling. So by this point, again, this is fall. We're still looking at houses. We're still touring houses as much as we can because it is COVID. We had found another house that we really liked and a house that I really, truly wanted to put an offer in on. This was now going to be the second house that we put an offer on. He put in the asking price, I believe, was about $700,000. He put in under asking an offer for about $650,000. I'm guessing, but I'll try to find the house and put it on this and put it on the story. The reason that house fell through, we found out that the home was sitting on a septic tank. We found out that the septic tank had an issue, and it would have taken about $15,000 to $20,000 to fix the septic tank. The sellers were not willing to fix the septic tank. Personally, I ain't really care for the house that much. I'm the one who was like, I don't really want it. So even though we put an offer in, we had 24 hours where we could pull our offer back. And so we did. Once we found out, I believe it was in the disclosure. And if you're a realtor, please feel free to tell me if I'm using the wrong terminology. But I believe it was in the disclosure that they told us the septic tank needs to be replaced. That's when I was like, nah, I don't want that house. So we pulled out. The house fell through. And so I was fine with it because, again, I was heavily involved. I saw him sign the offer. I knew every step of what was going on. Our real estate agent, Scott, was amazing, but you will see when I get to it where he made a mistake as a real estate agent. So house number 2 fell through. We then moved on, saw a few more houses, and then we get to house number 3. I'm going to pause talking about the houses because now I need to introduce what happened with the cars. Stay tuned.
This story is so crazy. This is like comedy. And this is just me. But now I guess we at part 7 or 8, and she finally telling us how he dressed. Like, when you meet somebody for the first time, those are the type of things that you notice. Like, when he pulled up to change my tire, he was wearing X, Y, and Z, smelling like this. His drip was on point, his shoes was on point, he had on these type of Jordans or whatever. Like, but you failed to mention it. But now you telling us now, because now he's a VP or whatever for the ketchup company. And he's wearing khakis and pullover polos, dressing down. Anyway, I don't see how she bought that either. Why is he walking the floor? Usually in places like that, they have a management team, supervisors. They got what's the people called? The USDA up in there, you know, testing and checking. Like, what is he walking the floor for? Like, I don't see how she bought that. And then these houses, like, girl, why are you still falling for the house shenanigans? A septic tank. Like, aren't septic tanks at trailer parks? Like, don't you need a septic tank with a trailer? I'm a little confused with that, but I could have swore septic tanks are at trailer parks, like mobile homes. So was this a mobile home? Or do they call those what, cesspools? I don't know. But if it was just something as simple as a septic tank, then since he got all this money, why didn't he get a new septic tank? I'm confused. But anyway, yeah, D-Man, she writing a verbal book, and it's confusing. And of course, now I guess they're engaged. I forgot when she said they got engaged, but still, you haven't met anyone from his family. We know that he have talked to your aunt and your mom on the phone, but y'all not meeting each other's families. You just skimming over all of the, you know, the typical things. I can't even say it's typical, but things that couples go through. You scheming over that to tell us about houses and cars and stuff. Like, I'm confused. But also, why didn't you ever go to his job to see exactly what it was that he was doing? If you planning on being wifey, why didn't you bring him lunch? Why didn't y'all meet up for lunch? Like, no lunch dates. Y'all, you know, a young couple, no children. Y'all should be trying to get quickies and stuff like that during his work day and during your work day. So I'm confused. But D-Man said on the house, if you have that much, oh yeah, build one yourself. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I don't know. She's just a little confusing. But let's get back into it. She finna tell us about the cars, because the houses and the cars are the most important things, whereas you all both had your own places. So I'm not even understanding why the houses, why are y'all in such a big rush to get these houses, and why are y'all spending so much time looking at houses? You said y'all looked at like 15 to 17 houses. Girl, look around your townhouse and sit down and get to know this man. And also, what happened to the stuff y'all ordered from the Home Depot? Since none of the houses going through, what's happening to all of the appliances and refrigerators and stuff that y'all had to buy? Like, run it back and fill us in.
All right, part 11. So for this part, I'm just going to give you some backstory on the family. Pause all the stuff about the house, pause the stuff about the car. This is backstory on his family, my ex-husband's family. All right, follow me. My ex-husband's parents, mom and dad, are both deceased. Mom passed away from cancer. Dad passed away shortly after her. I'm not sure what he passed away from. So he has a number of siblings. He has two, with his parents, he has two brothers. One is older, lives in Philly. One is younger by 2 years, lives in Nashville. He has two sisters. One, Shantae, is older, lives in Douglasville with her husband and two kids, a boy and a girl. Younger sister, Kim, is the baby, lives in Augusta with her husband, worked at, I think he told me, Procter & Gamble. That was the story. He had two half brothers that were through his dad. One brother lived in Baltimore. The other brother lived in Augusta. The brother that lived in Augusta, I have physically met in person, shook hands, hugged, all that. The brother that lived in Baltimore, I have FaceTimed with, talked to him. The brother that lived in Philly, the older brother that he looked up to, I have never talked to him on the phone. I would always talk to him through my ex-husband. So the conversation would be like, hey babe, brother so-and-so said hey. He didn't call him brother so-and-so. We'll call him John. John said hey. Hey John. I would be in the bathroom doing my hair, brushing my teeth. Hey John. And he would be like, did you hear? He said, how you doing? I was like, I'm good. How's he doing? Cause that's just me. And so he would relay back and forth. He talked to John every day from starting around July after the grandmother passed away. He would talk to John every morning. We both would be getting ready for work and he would be on the phone with John. They would be talking for 30, 40 minutes, talking about football, talking about other siblings. They would be talking about cars. It was really like not a big deal. They would talk about the brother in Baltimore. They would talk about the brother in Augusta. And then they would reminisce. This is the conversations I could hear. Let me explain. When I say I can hear a conversation, what that means is I am physically standing near him or next to him where I could hear him with the phone up to his ear talking to someone, because it wasn't me. Okay? I may not hear the other person because the phone call may not be on speakerphone. But what I hear is, for example, I hear, hey man, what y'all doing? Oh, for real? Y'all barbecuing this weekend? What y'all making? Oh, that's what's up. Nah, I think me and her gonna stay in this weekend because, you know, these numbers is looking crazy with COVID. Yeah, she over here. She's sitting right here. She watched the TV. Okay, hold on. John said, hey. Hey, John. You heard her? Okay. All right, bruh. I just wanted to check in on you. That's the type of conversation I'm explaining. Okay, so I hope that gives a little more clarity about the type of conversations I'm hearing. So, I don't know why this light keeps going out. Okay, so that's how he would talk to his siblings. The grandmother passed away. He called me around April or May and told me that his grandmother passed away. His grandmother, on his dad's side, had died suddenly from COVID. She had symptoms. She went to bed and did not wake up. He was distraught. He was crying. He wasn't eating. He was just sitting there, listening to music, not watching TV, just sad, because he was like, you know, my grandmother was always my support system. So from what I saw, it really bothered him. I did not think anything of it. I'm one of those people, if you tell me somebody in your family passed away, I'm gonna believe you, because I don't play about death. And I guess I expect other people don't either. However, that is not the same for everyone else, but we'll get there. So, family, he had his sister, Shantae, who lived in Douglasville. Like I said, she was married with 2 kids. Apparently she was a nurse. So when I had my miscarriage, that was a sister that he was like, my sister will take you to the hospital. Like, that's what family does. Okay. I had never met Shantae. I've been on the phone, or excuse me, I've been around him when he was on the phone with Shantae. Never heard her part of the conversation. But he would be talking to his sister. That's what he said. That's what it sounded like too. Now, what is interesting is that we lived maybe 35, 40 minutes away from Douglasville. So there were plenty of times that he had invited me to go with him to his sister's house. Okay, let me tell you how this would always work out. Total times he invited me was probably 3 times for different barbecues or whatnot. The first time he invited me, I was like, nah, I ain't going, because again, COVID. And she's a nurse. Hell no. The second time he was like, yeah, she invited us, but I don't think we should go because COVID. No. The third time I agreed to go. I was like, absolutely, I'll go meet your sister. Like, that'd be great. On our way to her house, to Douglasville, to go see the sister, apparently he got a phone call. The phone was always like on vibrate, but he got a phone call and he told me that something came up, and so she had to cancel the barbecue, the get together, whatever. And so I was just like, oh man, okay, well, hopefully we can go another time. It didn't happen close enough for me to have red flags, if that makes sense. But at this point, as y'all probably like, girl, you so blind. But again, I didn't think anything of it, because it's like, okay, it fell through. We'll see. We'll reschedule. And so we just went out to eat, and then he talked to another brother, the brother from Augusta that he would have on speakerphone. So it was like, I didn't think anything of it. I really didn't. Man. And the more I talk about it, the more I realize, like, I'm not a dumb person, but it just never dawned on me the things that you have to now investigate. It didn't dawn on me. But nevertheless, that is the backstory for his family, right? Grandmother passed away. 3 weeks later, he called me and told me his uncle had passed away from COVID. The uncle had tested positive, had to go into the hospital, and he died. It was a bit of a red flag. It was a bit of a red flag, but like I said, I don't play about death. So I was just like, wow. Because of these 2 deaths, he became a stickler about COVID. And when I mean a stickler, wear your mask, wear gloves, hand sanitize, wash your hands. Like, he was annoying about making sure neither one of us caught COVID. So now I'm going to give you the backstory in regards to what I was told with the ex-wife.
Oh my God, here we go.
There was a lot when it comes down to her explaining his family. the way that she explained that was kind of weird as well. And then going into detail about the uncle and the grandma dying and how distraught he was and all of that. But nobody shed a tear when she miscarried. And why in both events did he have to call you? And I think she said April. And then a couple months later it was the uncle. But each time he called you to let you know that these people passed away. And it's like, why didn't y'all discuss that over dinner? Like, why didn't he tell you at home? Why in each scenario he had to call you and let you know? But I don't understand about the family. However, the conversation about the conversations he was holding with his family over the telephone, she's saying he's always on the phone talking to these siblings, but she never heard a conversation. That sounds weird, because a lot of times you can hear somebody's voice on the other end. If you around that person that's on the phone, you can hear their voice. You may not be able to make out what they're saying, but you can hear something. Like, you know, if it's a male's voice or female's voice. Like, that's kind of bizarre with that. And then if the sister only lived 45 minutes away from y'all, you said he only invited you 2 or 3 times. Well, why didn't the sister ever come by to meet her new sister-in-law? Like, y'all move, the way they moving in this story is like weird, because in real life people don't move like that, not to my knowledge. And it's like y'all missing like key steps, key elements. And for her to be like, she's saying she's not dumb, it's like some of these things your intuition should have been telling you along the way. But like I said, I think that she was blinded by his wealth, by him being able to produce $700 and some thousand like that. He came in paying all her bills. She probably had never had that before. So a lot of things she was just letting him just run game on her. She was just wooed by what he was saying. But how many times do things not work out? Everything that he said he was gonna do from the, other than paying bills, none of the stuff has panned out. Like, how many times does he have to show you that what I'm saying is kept? You get what I'm saying? But anyway, and I don't even understand why when she just said on the last one that we were finna go into the car situation, why did she come back and start telling us about his family? Like, I don't see why she put that part in right there, but whatever. Let's get back into it.
I know I look rough, but it's okay. It's okay. Anyway, so this is part 12 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So this is the backstory on what I was told for the ex-wife. This is important. Pay attention. All right. This is 2020. So this is what I was told in 2020. I was told that he and his ex-wife used to be friends. Then they started dating and subsequently got married. They got married in California. He had bought a house with the money that he made from arena football. They had apparently had gotten married on the downward of the arena football career. Had a nice house. He showed me a picture of the house, showed me pictures inside the house. Remember that? Showed me pictures inside the house. It was a really nice home in San Diego. And basically what happened was that he came home from work early one day and I have the hiccups, sorry. Came home early from work one day and his wife was sleeping with another man. The man was in the house. He and the man get into it. Her son, who is about 17 years old in 2020, she had 2 kids, a daughter and a son. The son apparently was on his way home from school when my ex-husband found his previous wife in bed with another man. So the story goes that he and the guy fought. He kicked the guy out. He kicked his ex-wife out, but told her the kids could stay. The kids are not biologically his. Those are his stepkids. She was like, you must be kidding. Like, I'm not leaving my kids here. The kids are old enough to where they were like, we don't want to go because you fucked up. We don't want to leave. So apparently she leaves. The kids stay with him for a few weeks. And then she gets her own place. The kids move in with their mom. He files for divorce in California. He files for divorce in California, and it was an ugly divorce. She was asking for spousal support, all kinds of stuff. And then it turned into, I'll help you with the kids, not child support, but just I will give you some money for the kids, because apparently he was very close to the kids and he wanted to keep a relationship with the kids. Their biological fathers, apparently there were 2 fathers, their biological fathers were not in the picture. So the divorce starts out contested and ugly, eventually becomes amicable. Eventually they become cordial with each other. So my ex-husband moved. This is all before he ever met me. So I'm telling you the story of what I was told in 2020. So eventually, about 2 years later, is when his job approached him about an opportunity to transfer to Georgia. And so he took it. New beginning, fresh start. He has family in Georgia. He took it. He told me this story pretty much the second or third conversation we had. So it was always from the beginning that she had cheated. He caught her, and he had filed for divorce, but he was still close to the kids. They still had a great relationship. I've heard him on the phone with the kids, just encouraging them, helping the 17-year-old like with homework. The kids really apparently wanted to meet me, and I was fine with that. He would send them money, if they needed something, because he loved the kids as if they were his own. I'm telling you the story as I was told it in 2020. So let's see, around April or May of 2020, he informs me that his ex-wife has moved to Georgia. Apparently she's staying with her sister in Gwinnett County. So she has moved to Georgia. The 2 kids are now in Georgia. And so when he tells me all this, I'm like, so what's that supposed to mean? Now, I will say this. He never made it seem as if she wants him back. He never presented that. It was always, we're cool for the kids. We're cool for the kids. But he's never presented that she was trying to get him back. I feel like it's fair to her for me to say that. And again, stay with me. It all comes out. But that was the backstory in regards to the ex-wife, that they got married in California, they divorced in California, and then she eventually moved to Georgia, to Gwinnett County, after he had transferred to Georgia for his job. He did tell me that, every now and then he'll get a text message from her. He told me that he, told her when I was pregnant. He felt like she needed to hear that from him instead of hearing it from the kids. And we got into a bit of an argument about that. But, honey, in the big scheme of things, anyway. So we got into an argument about that. I felt like, that's none of her business. But that's the overall backstory of her. So remember, because there will be a quiz, but just remember, he met her in California, married her in California, divorced her in California. She moved to Georgia, to Gwinnett County, after he moved to Georgia. Are we clear? Okay. Okay.
My mic went on. But I guess we needed to know about the ex, where they married, where they divorced, where the ex lives now, the fact that he's still involved with the church and that he talked to that she never hear the conversation of. Like nobody he talks to, she hears the conversation. Just his side. And that he told the ex that she was pregnant. And that he is always on the phone with these children. He's sending them money and all of that. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah.
Part 13 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So I've kind of given you guys all the backstory. Let's just kind of recap real quick. So I told you how we met. Met in March of 2020. Basically, Georgia got shut down. I keep saying shut down. Got locked down. We decided to quarantine together. I know it was crazy. It was crazy. I really liked him. And thought he liked me. So I told you guys how we met. Things moved at a rapid pace. Met in March. Moved in together pretty much end of March, beginning of April. Found out I was pregnant in May. Lost the baby in June. Had to have surgery in July. Started looking for houses. Started looking at cars. All this stuff happened literally between March and the end of, in August is when I got my car. So, got a car in August. He paid the down payment for that car, which I was shocked by. And no, it was not a BMW or an Audi. It was a Nissan Altima, but I loved that car at the time. So he paid the down payment for that car. He told me he would help me with the car payment. The biggest mistake that I made, and I'll explain why I say this. The biggest mistake I made was that I signed myself up for a car note, where I knew I needed his help to pay the car note. I knew better. My mom has always taught me, do not ever put yourself in a position where you are financially dependent on a man. And all of that went out the window. And the reason why I say that was the biggest mistake is because when I have pulled back the layers of this whole monstrosity of life that I lived for 2020 and 2021, it really does boil down to the fact that I truly ended up marrying him more out of fear than anything else. And I'll expound upon that later. But I got the car in August, and by this point I was exhausted of looking at cars. I was mad that I didn't get a BMW X5 dark blue with cognac interior. And I was tired of looking at houses, getting my hopes up, looking at a house and picturing myself in the master bedroom, the kitchen, the island, all that stuff. I'm a visual person, and I was tired of getting my hopes up. So now we're going to segue into fall, going into the holidays. here's what happened. In October, we looked at another house. This house was in Marietta. Absolutely gorgeous. It was gorgeous. I want to say that the house was about $700,000. I really liked the house. I could see myself living there. I could see myself cooking there. And so subsequently, my ex-husband put in an all-cash offer on that house. I watched him put an all-cash offer in on the house. Our real estate agent, Scott, called us about 24 hours later, and he said, the sellers love your offer. The offer was an all-cash, full asking price offer. $700,000. Let that sink in for a moment. He said the sellers love the offer. They are asking that you show proof of funds so that they can accept the offer. My ex-husband said, I will show proof of funds when they accept the offer. The seller said, great, we'll accept the offer when you show proof of funds. So basically we got into a standoff. And if you're a real estate agent or you work in real estate, I would love to know your thoughts on this. I had asked people in my personal life, like, have you ever heard of this before? And I've had plenty of people who said, I side with the ex-husband. I would not show my bank statements until they accepted the offer. And then I had other people who were like, I wouldn't accept an all-cash offer unless I verify that the person can pay. So I'm just curious what your thoughts are. Okay, so our real estate agent called us and was like, guys, the sellers are giving you 2 days to show proof of funds. I had the letter that he showed me from Chase. I sent that to Scott, but that was for a mortgage. The offer was for all cash. So he needed to show proof of funds that he had the cash to pay $700,000. He didn't show it. He refused to budge on showing them proof of funds until they accepted the offer because he was afraid that they were going to create a bidding war. So what ended up happening was Scott called us and said, I apologize because I didn't do my due diligence as a realtor. He said, before I ever started showing you guys a house, I should have collected your pre-approval letter and proof of funds. He said, so at this point, my broker has informed me that I cannot show you guys another house until you show at least us, meaning the real estate firm, until you show us proof of funds. And so I'm just like, well, I'm telling my ex-husband, just show them the fucking proof of funds. Like, what's the problem? And so it was a lot of, I find that this is really unprofessional because it's not our fault that you didn't do your job correctly. It got a little ugly and it got uncomfortable because I'm like, I don't understand why you don't show them proof of funds when you clearly just signed a document stating that you're putting an offer in at full asking price. This was the same thing that the realtor was saying. He was like, but you just signed an offer. So what's the problem? Like, you want them to accept the offer and then you'll show everyone the proof of funds? And my ex-husband, without missing a beat, said yes. So Scott did his best to work with the seller and say, look, accept the offer. He'll open the books. He'll show you the proof of funds. These sellers were like, no, that's not. And it wasn't so much the sellers. It was the seller's agent. Big respect to the seller's agent. But the seller's agent was like, no, that's not how we're doing business. He needs to show those proof of funds before I advise my clients to accept his offer. Period. If he's not willing to do it, we'll go on to the next offer, because they did have another offer on the table for it was less than asking price, but they were willing to accept that offer over the all cash offer because those people had basically shown proof. So subsequently, the house fell through. We passed the 2-day deadline. They went with the other offer. Also, at this point, our real estate agent, Scott, and I do not blame him for this, pretty much cut all ties. Because what he, I believe, felt like was, I don't know what's going on, but something's going on. And this is not how I do business. So until you guys are ready to show the proof of funds needed to buy a house, you need to get yourself another agent. Because we were already about 20 to 25 houses deep by this point. We had already put in 2 other offers. They fell through. And now here we are with this house. And once again, it fell through.
Looks like you won something there.
I ditched my tax guy and switched to H&R.
I have no words. I'm just getting sick of the little let's look for houses shenanigans. That has gotten old. And yeah, I'm just over it. Like, I don't know why she wasn't over it, but the ring around the rosy, hide and go seek with the housing situation, I'm not really sure why she was so stuck on that, but whatever.
Okay, so good news and bad news. Number one, this is part 14 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? Bad news, this is going to be the last post for the night. And the reason why, good news, tomorrow's my birthday. So I'm just going to make this video, post it, and then I will pick back up probably Friday because honestly, I truly want to enjoy my birthday tomorrow. I just want to enjoy my birthday. All right, so y'all don't be upset. Just, if anything, watch parts 1 through 14, then we'll be ready for part 15. So the house fell through in October 2020. And what I told him was, I said, I don't want to look at another house. I don't want to talk about cars. I want to get through the holidays because it was going to be a holiday season where I could not celebrate my family because of COVID. So I said, I just want to get through the holidays. I want to get through the end of the year. And we'll revisit stuff in January. I was very calm when I said it. No argument, nothing like that. And he said he understood. A lot of what fueled me staying in this situation really was the fact that, number one, I didn't want to be alone. Number two, I didn't want to look stupid by having the relationship end so quickly for everyone to be like, we told you something was up. And number three, I was ready to get married. And that ready to get married fueled a lot of stuff. And again, I was still making my audio diaries. So listening back to it, I knew something was wrong. I admit that. I knew something was wrong. But what I thought it was, truthfully, was like, why does it seem like there's always something? Like, why can't we just go ahead and get the house? Why is it always something? Why can't I just get the BMW? It still didn't dawn on me how deep this something went. And for the people who keep asking, I'm going in order of events. So yes, there will be a video where I explain how everything came out and what came out. What was true, what was not true. It's coming. I'm just getting all of this out in order. So I told him I didn't want to look at a house no more. I didn't want to talk about houses. Do not mention the word Zillow. Do not mention the word realtor. Nothing. Let me just get through the holidays. And for myself, the question was, what do you want to do? You want to stay with him? Or do you want to cut your losses? And the part that kept me constantly second guessing myself was, what if he's not lying? What if he's not lying? Literally the conversation I had with myself was, there's no way he is lying about having money. You saw the paper from Chase. They don't just approve $750,000 for a mortgage for anybody. I've seen his checking account. You see how much money's in his available checking. Like I don't think he's lying. I don't think he's lying about that. But what is it? Is it that he doesn't trust me? Like, I second guess myself so much. Is it that he doesn't trust me? Is it that maybe he doesn't really want to get married? Like, what is it? Because I know what I saw. I know what I heard. I know that he's having conversations about move the money from this account to that account. I know he's paying my car note and all these bills. Like, clearly this man is making money. I know that I saw the letter from HR that states his new salary is 200 and something thousand. And I remember thinking, like, God, what am I missing? I'm missing something, but what is it? Because I know what I've seen. I know what I have touched. I have physically touched these papers. Like, I know how to read. So what is it that I am missing? He's close to his family. He talks to them all the time. He's just a regular guy that just likes to watch NFL football. He leaves me alone when I want to watch Georgia football. He's paying the bills, groceries. I haven't had to worry financially since I've met him. And as a woman who had lived on her own, paying her own bills, my God, that is the most intoxicating feeling when you meet a guy who just takes your stress and your worry away financially. But the downside is, he took away the stress and the worry financially away and instead brought a mental fuck job I've never in my life had experienced. And I could not put my finger on it. I couldn't really talk to anybody about it because I'm a big believer in what happens at home stays at home. So I didn't talk to my girlfriends about it. I didn't talk to my family about it. But I just remember being like, what am I missing? What am I missing? So we did not talk about houses. We did not look at cars. We didn't do any of that for November, December. And he came to me like around Thanksgiving, and what I thought was a very open, loving conversation. And in that conversation, he was like, okay, I know I have fucked up. I know that things are not feeling too strong right now. He was like, I want us to get married. I want a home. I will show you whatever you need to see to put you at ease. He was very contrite. He was very just like, what do I need to do to put your mind at ease so that you know I'm in this and that I want this and that I love you and I want you to be my wife. So I was like, show me your accounts. He showed me his checking. He showed me one of his savings. He showed me a Chase savings. He did not show me the offshore. And he did not show me the U.S. bank. So he showed me those two accounts, checking and Chase savings. So I knew that there was money. What I saw in those accounts, there was money. I told him, I was like, if we're going to buy a house, I want it to be through the mortgage on Chase. I don't want to deal with this proof of funds shit no more. I said, I do not want to look at another house until the beginning of the new year. He said, okay. That is when we then had a conversation. So I guess I lied, because we are going to have a part 15 or 16 tonight. But that is when we then had the discussion about marriage. And that is where religion came into play. Yeah, I'll give y'all the other part tonight. Stand by. Fuck did I marry? This is the interlude, basically. I'm not recapping on this video. I'm just kind of answering some stuff that has been written to me. Someone was like, why are you airing your business out on social media? It's a valid question. For me personally, I feel like this was traumatic to experience, to live through. And I'll expound on that on another video, the aftermath of the toll that this took. Honestly, and I know some people are going to be like, that sounds crazy. It is kind of cathartic to get this out, because I cannot tell you how much of this has been internalized since 2020. Also, I don't want to seem like a cautionary tale to other women, or to men for that matter, but to my sisters, to my ladies, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, doesn't matter. If something does not sit right with you, investigate it. I cannot stress that enough. If just one woman watches these videos and she's like, you know what, something don't sit right with me, let me look into this, then it was worth it. Yes, it is a Lifetime movie. Yes, it is Netflix. Yes, it is crazy. Yes, it is hilarious also. And I understand all of those reactions. As someone who lived it, it was traumatic. But I feel like, God, it feels good to finally admit what the fuck I went through. And again, by the time this is uploaded, I'm only to January of 2021, right after getting married. So when I think back on it, there's things that I'm very, very grateful for. There are things that I'm just like, why did you not pay attention? Why did you not question? And the sad part is, I can't even begin to tell you, I don't remember the woman I was before I met that man. I don't remember. Because going through something like that, it changes you. And I've seen some women in the comments who were like, I was married to a habitual liar. I was married to a pathological liar. My baby daddy's a pathological liar. And my heart goes out to them, because until you have dealt with someone so depraved, you really don't quite know how bad it can get. So I'm fully aware that this was a risk, putting this out on social media, telling my story, my truth. And really kind of being like, look, this is what I went through. I made dumb decisions. I overlooked things I should not have overlooked. I argued away things I should not have argued away. I can pinpoint exactly the moment I should have left. I still feel like God is sitting on the throne and he's like, I never planned for your monkey ass to marry him. I never even planned for you to go out and date with him. That's why I blew your tire. But you hard-headed and you went anyway. And then I tried to go ahead and show you signs. You ignored them. Like, I feel like God did everything to help me as his child be like, this is not who I created to be your helpmate. And I was like, God, you taking too long. I want to get married. You taking too long. I want to have a family. You taking too long. And these are the consequences that I am paying for basically telling God, you took too long. And I feel like God's grace is sufficient. It is. But at the same time, and I'm not perfect. I mean, not perfect at all. None of us are. But I do feel like when I sit back and I replay the events that happened, I truly cannot believe that was my story. Because all I wanted was to meet a guy, for him to be my best friend, for us to get married, have a family. I wanted someone I could make fun of his big old forehead, and he make fun of my nappy head and all my wigs, and yet he was my ride or die. I wanted someone that I could be like, man, help me with these kids, and he helped me with the kids. We had a nice home. We were comfortable. That is what I wanted. And I've said this before, and I say it again. I truly hoped it was my turn. You see the women who are, so happy and, they're in these loving marriages and life just looks good. I really, really wanted it to be my turn. And so I excused away a lot of stuff that I hope the next woman who sees this does not excuse, because I don't wish this on anybody. I don't wish this on anyone, to feel the way I felt the moment I discovered the whole truth. So I just wanted to say that, because I think it's important to try to answer the why is she posting this. Honestly, I was tired of holding it in. And I hope it helps somebody. Okay, let's all take a deep breath. Let's all get some sleep. If you don't have anything to do and you just want to wish me happy birthday, wish me happy birthday tomorrow, February 15th. Shout out to Team Aquarius. Good night, y'all. Part 17. Who the fuck did I marry?
I can't believe this woman. So she's giving advice to the other women out there that they should investigate if they feel, that gut feeling like something ain't right. But she obviously never got that feeling in her gut. However, she said she was making audio notes, video, notes, and all of this because she knew something wasn't right. But you got, what I'm saying? You got this you have all of this knowledge for other people, and then You said you was in a hurry to hurry up and get married. You didn't want to wait on God. All of this, but you wanted to marry your best friend, your ride or die, somebody who gonna help you with the churn. However, I mean, you haven't even told us, like, what did y'all do together? In the beginning, he took you to Red Lobster. In the beginning, he took you to the Cheesecake Factory. Ever since then, it's been, let's get this house, car, money. Show me your money. And that's it, and that's all. Like, and clearly, you said he showed you a couple of bank accounts that did have money. You didn't say how much, but they did have money, but he didn't show you the offshore account. So it's like that same advice you giving to these other girls at your big age. I mean, 2020 was not that long ago, and you don't look like no spring chicken. So in a sense, I kind of get it. Maybe she was just desperate and he was being so nice to her. But I think too, at a certain age, when people are acting so desperate and so thirsty, that should be the red flag. Cause like, why are you trying to rush? Like, this was seriously too fast. 2 weeks after knowing this man, y'all talking about quarantining together, specifically you pregnant, still ain't got married. You know, there's just a lot for me. Like, you still don't know where he work, you still don't really know his family. I don't know. But like she said, it's her birthday. Let's continue. It does sound a little exaggerated because we want to believe that nobody is this stupid at their big age. But, you know, maybe there is. So anyway, let's continue.
So, for context and just to clarify some stuff, going forward, I'm going to now call my ex-husband, I'm going to use the name that I call him in real life. So that way it clears up the whole fiance, boyfriend, husband, ex-husband thing. So, his name is Legion. Anyone that knows me will tell you that is what I call him. So, Legion and I, when I left off at part 16, part 15, Legion and I got married January 5th of 2021. For the first 2 weeks, things were fine. We got into like a routine, basically. I would go to work, he would go to work. He was still leaving the house at around 6:15 every morning. He was still on the phone with his brother, the one that lived in Philly, every morning. That was their time to talk. From what I was told, the brother got off work. I guess he must have worked the third shift. And so he was getting off work as Legion was getting ready to go to work. So that was the perfect time for them to talk. He would talk to his brother in Baltimore and the brother in Augusta. Pretty much, just a quick phone call here and there, if not every day, every other day. So everything was pretty much the same. I would talk to my mom almost every day. I would talk to my aunt almost every day. So it was nothing to kind of, that's weird. That's what the morning routine was. He would talk. So I worked at Georgia State Patrol. And I said this in a previous video, but again, there were things I said in previous videos that I remember saying, hey, remember that because it's going to come back later. So I worked at Georgia State Patrol. I had been working there for almost 8 years, 7 or 8 years by the time Legion got into the picture. He was fine with the fact that I worked within law enforcement. I'm not a trooper. I'm not a sworn officer. I'm a civilian. However, he, again, his dad was a retired police officer. So he was perfectly fine in the beginning with the fact that I worked for Georgia State Patrol. He had been to my office before. He had met some of my co-workers. Obviously, even with COVID, because I still had to go into the office 2 or 3 days a week, he had been up there. So The friend who took me to the hospital when I had my miscarriage has met him. He and I have been to her home with her and her significant other before. So, again, even in the world of COVID, when there were little times where you could get together with people, he has met people in my life. He has met my friend, or that particular friend, and he has met some of my coworkers. So when we got married, the first 2 weeks, like I said, was fine. And then it's as if something snapped. Something just changed. What was totally acceptable before, suddenly little comments were made. Why are you wearing that to work? You get off at 3:30, so you'll be home by 5, right? Things that had never happened before. He had never questioned what time I'm going to be home. Really, he didn't need to question it because when I'm off work, I leave. So it was never a situation of, oh, I'm going to just sit around at work and just run my mouth because I have nothing to do. And then it turned into, he would call me every day from work. And I'm going to demonstrate how those phone calls went. But he would call me every day from work. And if he even so much as heard a male voice in the background, he would have little comments to me. Who was that? Are they in your office? Man, I never know who's around you, because it seemed like every time I call you, I have the hiccups, sorry. It seems like every time I call you, there's some man around. And I'm just like, at first I kind of shrugged it off. I laughed it off because it really, truly was absurd to me. But then it became a bit more frequent. And so I really just didn't feed into it because I'm like, I don't know if this is some insecurity. I don't know if this is jealousy, because nothing has ever been done to make you feel any sort of insecure type of way. I've never entertained another guy, never flirted with another guy. Like, I don't know where this is coming from. So it is also important to note, we got married January 5th. Things started changing around 2 weeks later. And the reason why I know it's 2 weeks is because I had recorded an audio diary on January 21st is the date of the audio diary. And I talk about how maybe I had unrealistic expectations because it seemed as if things were changing with he and I. So 2 weeks pass, he starts making little comments. End of January comes, he informs me that he wants to start looking for a house again. I had no real desire to go through that process. So what he decides is that he's going to look for a house for us using his friend, the realtor, the one I did not meet. So he tells me that he and his friend have been talking and he's going to start looking at houses. And what he's going to do is basically, if he feels like it's a house I would like, then he wants to show it to me, because he feels like, I know that your attitude really isn't, you're in the mood to look for a house. So I'm going to start looking. And then if I think it's a great house, then, you can come see it. And I remember thinking, that's not going to work. You're not going to choose a house without me. And he was like, no, I'm not going to choose the house, but I just think that, me and old boy have been talking. And so he has some houses that he is representing. He wants to show me. So why don't you let me look at it? And if it's worth the time, then I'll bring you to look at it. So he already had some sort of plan in place after talking to his friend about how he's going to start looking at houses. This is the end of January 2021. So I kind of threw my hands in the air and was just like, whatever, because I'm not getting emotionally involved in looking at houses. And for me, that's kind of what it was. I felt like I would see a house, I could picture us living there, and then it gets snatched away somehow, some way. I didn't want to go through that. So the reaction that he wanted, which was for me to throw a fit, I did not do. I was just like, okay, all right. Like, I trust you. And remember that I said the reaction he wanted, because that's going to come back later. So he started looking at houses. Funny enough, the houses that he looked at, none of them I actually saw. But he would call me and say, I'm at this house in Sandy Springs with the realtor friend. Apparently his realtor friend's name was Scott, not to be confused with the other Scott, the one that was actually helping us, that dropped us as clients. I want to make that clear. There were two Scotts. One is the realtor who was representing us, who said, hey, I need proof of funds. If you don't have those proof of funds, I cannot show you any more houses. The other Scott is his friend, who he had talked to on the phone at least 50 to 100 times in front of me. That's the Scott that he said is going to show me this house in Sandy Springs. Apparently the house was like $800,000. So he was like, I think that if I like the house, then I'm gonna bring you out here so you can see it. All right. Now let's go into part 18. Okay, part 18. Who the fuck did I marry? So he starts looking at houses in Sandy Springs, Alpharetta area with his friend Scott. I did not see any of these houses. I did not go. I didn't want to go. So what was starting to change is, remember I said before, he would leave the house every day at around 6:15. He would be home every day between 3:30 and 4 o'clock without fail. It was so, I shouldn't say it was annoying, but I could set my clock by the fact that I would hear that garage door open between 3:30 and 4 o'clock every day that he went to work. Even during lockdown, he still had to go to work. His job was only locked down for maybe a week. For me, I was allowed to work from home, but unfortunately, I did not handle it well. And so I would fall asleep and not check email. So my boss was like, yeah, you're going to have to come back to the office because you're not trustworthy. And I wasn't. I mean, I would watch Netflix and not even be on my computer. So I had to start going back to work every day, 5 days a week. And I was, me and another lady were the only two in there because we were the only two who did not handle work from home properly. Anyway, that's another story. So Legion he started to not come home by 4 o'clock. He started to come home 5, 5:30, 6, 6:30, sometimes 7 o'clock. Because he was saying that he was looking at houses after work with his friend Scott. So it definitely was noticed that things are changing. And I just, at this point, kind of emotionally and mentally, I was just like, I don't know what to do. This is the end of January. Remember, I told you in part 15, I got married January 5th. By January 31st, I kind of knew I was in trouble. And by the end of January, sure enough, I knew things were changing in a way that I was like, I hate to sound redundant, but what the fuck is going on? So he's still maintaining the story of looking for a house. I had already let him know my lease is up in August. When my lease is up in August, I am moving to Cobb County. And then my attitude was kind of like, you can go with me or you can stay here. I don't care, but I'm moving. I'm leaving Clayton County. The reason why I was so adamant to move was not because of Clayton County. It was not because of the house that I was in. It was because Legion had started to create this narrative that he was beefing with my female neighbor. He was trying to get me to believe that my female neighbor to the left of me somehow was interested in him. And so she would make these little comments, and he would come in the house complaining about her and her music and the fact that she had, different men over to the house. It was driving me crazy. And all of this was kind of starting in January. So when I say that, it really seems like we got married January 5th, and then we had 2 weeks of peace, and then something just snapped. I literally mean something just snapped. So he's looking at houses. Now we're moving into February. February obviously is my birthday month. He did good. He did good to make Valentine. He went all out for Valentine's Day. He went all out for my birthday. My birthday and Valentine's Day are February 14th and February 15th. So he went all out on both days. Y'all ain't even gonna believe this story. But I said I would share even when it makes me look bad. So, the weekend after my birthday, and what I mean by that is if my birthday was on a Tuesday, we're talking about Saturday. The weekend after my birthday, he gave me money to go to the nail salon, go get a manicure and pedicure. So I leave the house. I take his car. His car was in the driveway. We had a key to each other's car because, again, we're married at this point. We're talking February 2021. So I take his car and I drive to the nail salon over in Morrow. I'm in the chair getting a pedicure, and I get a text message from my husband saying, someone was just at the house looking for you. And I'm like, who was looking for me? Who was it? And he said, I don't know. I think it was some, this is through text. I don't know. I think it was some dude you used to mess with. Okay. I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, I'm telling you, some guy just came to the house looking for you. I told him you were not here. So at this point, y'all, I'm in the chair at the salon. I'm freaking out because I'm like, who the fuck has the audacity to come to my home unannounced, uninvited, talking about they're looking for me? Especially because before I met my husband, I was working the last shift at Amazon as a part-time job. So I had not dealt with, dated anything with anyone for about a year before I met him in March of 2020. So I really was like, who the hell is this coming to my house? So I finished the pedicure. I head home. Once I get home, I'm like, what are you talking about? What happened? And so I'm frazzled in a way. And he's calm. He was like, yeah, it was a black Dodge Charger. They pulled into the driveway. They backed in. They backed in as if they had been here before. So clearly this was someone who's been to your house. He got out the car. He said, I opened the door and I went out there and I said, is there something I can help you with? And he said, the guy said, I'm looking for, and gave him my name. And he said, I'm sorry, she's not here. And he said, he was like, oh, okay. All right then. And just got in the car and drove off. And I was like, my brain stopped working because I'm thinking, who the heck could this be? A Dodge Charger? I was like, are you sure that it wasn't law enforcement? Like, was it the sheriff's office trying to serve me with a lawsuit for a credit card I didn't pay? He was like, no, he was in regular clothes. He was like, and it was not a police car. It was on a marked unit, basically. And so I'm just like, who the heck could this be? And he was like, I know who it was. And I said, who? He was like, I think it was your ex. I said, what ex? He was like, the one that you had dated for 2 years. Remember back in like part 3, part 4, I told y'all, he told me about his ex. I told him about mine. I thought we were being honest with each other. So now, fast forward to February 2021, and he's telling me, yeah, I think it was the ex that you had been dealing with for those 2 years before you met me. I said, so you think that he showed up to the house uninvited after 2 years? And he was like, well, whoever it was clearly was comfortable backing into our driveway, getting out the car, and was like, I'm here to see, and gave him my name. And so he was like, she's not here. Is there something I can help you with? And the guy was like, nah, it's cool. And then just got in the car and drove off. So, again, brain is like, who could this be? So then Legion says to me, you know what? The way that you reacting to this is real suspect. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He was like, you over here freaking out. I told you I took care of it. I told you it was fine. And you over here freaking out, which makes me wonder, what have you been up to? Now, let's go to part 19. Okay.
So they get married. She didn't say anything about the wedding at all. She didn't even tell us how he proposed to her, what her colors were for the wedding. Did the family show up? Like, why is she leaving out certain details? But you want to tell us about how he's changing. He wants to look for another house with his friend with the same name as y'all old real estate agent. And so now he's staying out to 7 o'clock at night to go look at houses. Like, what happened to everything was virtual? But anyway, yeah, I think these are just space fillers that she using, or they actually were just that boring. And then to bring up the fact that it was something going on with him and the neighbor, they had a beef. Like, when was he ever at home to even be having an issue with the neighbor? And what VP works from 6 to 3? Like, he's the vice president, but I thought he got a higher position in that when he couldn't show up, you know, when you were having your surgery, you know, for the baby, you know. So he's still the VP and he having to work from 6 to 3 every single day. Like, to my knowledge, VPs do what they want to do. They work when they want to work. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand that part either. What else did she say? Yeah, it just seemed like this is just space, you know, space filler information. Like, it's really not necessary, other than, okay, he changed after y'all got married. Now he making up stuff like it's a beef with the neighbor. Some dude pulled in, bagged into y'all house while you were gone in his car to get your nails done on the weekend after your birthday and after Valentine's Day. The weekend of all of this. So whatever. At this point, I don't know what to think, but I'm glad she decided not to go look at these houses with him. It's starting to sound like he got some other stuff going on. I don't think he with no Scott to 7 p.m. looking at houses every day, especially if he been getting off at 3. And when y'all were looking for the other houses, he didn't get off at 7 then. So why all of a sudden now he got to get off at 7, or he's not coming home till 7? Like, it's giving he doing some other stuff. Probably scamming. It's probably how he's getting all this money to fund the little things that he is getting for you. He must be doing something on the side. So I guess we'll find out. Let's get back into it.
Part 18, who the fuck did I marry? So he says to me, the way you're acting is real suspect, because I told you it was fine. I took care of it. He was like, I ain't even worried about it. He was like, obviously that nigga didn't know that you now married, that you've moved on. And so now he knows it. But for me, it was the fact that I don't do pop-ups. Don't come to my house unannounced. So if someone has done that, for me, it automatically feels like a violation, and it feels like it needs to be addressed. So it was not as simple as, I already took care of it, it's fine, let it go. Nah, we ain't letting nothing go, because you don't have my permission to show up to my house. And before this turns into something where I'm going to be on Fox 5 News, I need to address that with you, because that is not okay. So he didn't like the reaction I had to the story he told me, where someone basically disrespected my home. And he felt like my reaction was really suspect. So what I'm gonna get into the little details that he did not know about. So he tells me, again, it was a black Dodge Charger. They backed into the driveway. A gentleman got out of the car and he asked for me by name, and Legion said she's not here. So I asked him, what does the guy look like? And he said, he was like, why does it matter? I said, what the fuck does he look like? So Legion proceeds to give me the most generic description you can give. He was like, well, he was shorter than me. Ex-husband is about 6'3", 6'4". He was shorter than me. He was brown skinned. I said, did he have a hat on his head? Mind you, I understand that before marriage, I was a damn fool. I understand that. But every woman has that moment where you only gonna fool her but for so long. And eventually puzzles start coming together. For me, I felt like moving into marriage, certain things started coming together. So I said to him, did he have a hat on his head? He was like, nah, he ain't wear a hat. So in my mind, I am mentally going down a list of every possible man it could be. And it was only like 4 men. I had been in that house about 3 or 4 years at this point. So I knew all of the people, and I'm talking about from maintenance down to ex-boyfriends. It was a total of like 4 men. So when he said that it was a black Charger, I immediately was like, okay, I know that crosses out one. He said he was shorter than him. All of them were shorter than him. I said, did he have a hat on his head? He said, no, that crossed out one, because one in particular was a maintenance guy who always wore a hat on his head because he had like a bruise or something, and he was just self-conscious about it. So he always wore a hat. That leaves 2. So I said, was he muscular or was he skinny? So Legion's getting all frustrated. I said, just answer the question. He was like, well, he was kind of in between. And I said, okay. He was in between. I said, so was he light skin or was he dark skin? He was like, I told you he was brown skin. I said, was he my complexion? He said, no, he was brown skin. That eliminates one. So now there's one left. And yes, the one left would have been the ex that I had dated for 2 years. And so he was like, I know it was your ex. I know it was your ex. And I was like, that don't make no sense, because the ex that in my mind, I'm saying this, the ex that I had dated, he and I had no contact with each other, and he was not the type to just pop up at your house. That ain't his style. Not to mention, and I ain't tell Legion this, that man would not be caught dead driving a Dodge Charger. He hated Chargers because he drove it as a patrol car. So I didn't say anything. I just was like, that's weird. So what Legion didn't know is that at the time I had a security system. So I had a security system where anytime the front door, the garage door, or the back door was open, basically any entry point, anytime it was open or closed, it would send me a text message notification. So when he's telling me all this, I'm looking at my phone and I see a notification where the front door was opened and it was shut all within the same minute. So for example, if it says front door open at 1 p.m., front door closed at 1 p.m. So whatever he did was within those 60 seconds. He's telling me the story of the guy got out the car. He opened the door. He went out there, can I help you? And the guy said, I'm looking for, and Legion said, no, she's not here. And so he said the guy kind of was like, okay. And he was like, all right, thank you. And got in the car and drove off. Legion has also told me that he watched him drive out of the neighborhood, which means because of the way the house was set up, the townhouse, he would have still been outside watching this. I could be wrong, but something in me was like, that would take more than 60 seconds. So for the door to have been open and shut within the same 60 seconds, I was like, okay. So also what he didn't know, we didn't have a Ring door camera, but my neighbor did. And her Ring door camera caught my driveway. The view of the camera could see my driveway as well as her driveway. And so whoever was coming in the door, our driveways were right next to each other. And then on the other side of it was the grass. So it was a perfect view of my driveway. So she, I text her and I said, hey, were you home? I think I texted her the next day because I said, were you home on Saturday? And she said, no, I wasn't. What's up? Everything good? And I said, can you look at your security system and see if there was a car that came to my house at such and such time? And I know I did not tell her the reason I was asking, but I was like, is there any way that your security camera caught if someone came to my house at this time on Saturday? She's like, yeah, sure, I'll look. And so maybe about a couple of hours later, she texted me back and said, hey, I looked at the camera, but I didn't see anything. And I said, okay, by any chance, did it catch if someone maybe walked up the driveway? Like maybe it wasn't a car in the driveway, but someone walked up. She said, I didn't see anything with your driveway yesterday. So I said, okay. And I knew that something in me again was like, nobody came to the house. So now here we are, a month and a half married. And now is when I'm like, why the fuck did he make that up? Because no one came to the house. No black Charger came to the house, backed into the driveway. Nobody got out the car and asked for me. Nobody was looking for me. So now I was sitting in the bedroom thinking through all this, and I'm like, why the fuck did he make that up? Because that's what happened. I'm looking at the text messages on my phone where he's telling me someone just came to the house looking for you. But no one came. So what was the purpose of that? And then something said to me, something in me said, he wanted to see your reaction. He just wanted to see the reaction. You had been too calm, and so he wanted to see a reaction. So this man gaslit me like I was Georgia Natural Gas just to get a reaction. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to part 20 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry?
It just sounds like he just wanted a little bit of excitement in y'all relationship, since the only thing that y'all do is go look at houses and cars. He wanted to spice things up a little bit, get a reaction out of you. I don't know. It kind of sounded like he wanted you to bring his car back home. Like you weren't supposed to be driving his vehicle to go get your nails done. He paid down on you a Nissan that you were supposed to drive and get your nails done. So that's what is given to me. I don't know. I could be wrong, but yeah, it's like he was trying to hide some things. I don't know. But let's continue.
All right, part 20 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So after the black Dodge Charger incident, things were quiet. Legion was fine. Legion slept just fine. Me, that shit played over in my head for days and days and days. On one hand, I was like, I know nobody came. My head knew nobody came to the house. My heart was like, but maybe he didn't make it up. So the head and the heart were absolutely playing a tug of war, because again, I really couldn't fathom that he was making it up. But nevertheless, I filed it in the back of my mind, in my little filing my mental filing cabinet. So a few weeks later, we go out to eat at this restaurant in Atlanta. It's a burger place, and I'm going to do my best by the time I post this to put the name of the burger place on the screen. So we go to the burger place, eat dinner, everything was fine. As we are leaving, he says to me, did I ever show you where my grandmother's buried? This is the grandmother that passed away from COVID in 2020. And I said, no. I was like, we haven't been over here. And so he was like, let me show you. So he drives us to the cemetery, which is not far from the restaurant. He drives us to the cemetery, goes around and around, and then it comes to like a little hill in the cemetery. And he was like, you see the headstone? The headstone had like the family name on it. And it did not have, for example, John David Doe. It just had Doe. Okay, so there were no dates on it. So it reminded me of just a headstone where it was probably multiple family members buried underneath it. That's what it reminded me of. And so he was like, my grandfather and my grandmother are buried there. I do recall him telling me when the grandmother died in 2020 that she wanted to be buried next to his grandfather. And so we're sitting in the car because we can see the headstone like on top of the hill from the car. And he tells me that is where his grandmother and grandfather are buried. That the family was able to get her, her wishes were to be buried next to the grandfather. Okay. So as we are leaving, we take a different route home. So we get on the highway. If you're from Atlanta, you'll know what I'm talking about. We get on I-75 North. And we're kind of we're just driving around, to be honest with you. But we're taking the scenic route. We get on I-75 North because the reason why I remember is because when you're on I-75 North going towards Atlantic Station, on the right-hand side, you will see the Varsity. You'll see all these tall skyscraper buildings. One of the buildings has the letters NCR on the building. As we're coming up towards the building, he says to me, do you see the NCR building? I said, yeah. He said, the building behind it, my job bought that building. That's where we're going to have, we're setting up operations. And I was like, why the hell would y'all buy a condiment company in downtown Atlanta? He was like, no, we're not doing production there. It's just going to be offices, and that's where we're going to handle like the business portion. The production is still being done in Gwinnett County out in Duluth. And so I was like, oh, okay. He was like, that's where I keep the company car. So I was like, the company car? I said, aren't you supposed to be bringing the company car home? And he was like, I don't want to bring the company car home because it's Clayton County and it's a $90,000 car. And I don't want no problems. So he's telling me that he keeps the company car at the building downtown Atlanta that's behind the NCR building. I barely could see what building he's talking about, but he was like, it's the building right behind it. And so he's telling me that that's where his office is. So I said to him, take me to your office. I know it's a Saturday, but shit, you one of the VPs, right? So take me to your office. No, I had not been to his office simply because, again, COVID. So I was like, take me to your office. And he was like, I can. He was like, that's no problem. So do I have the other phone? I do. So y'all are in luck. So I can maybe reenact how this goes. So he gets off the exit and starts driving towards the NCR building. While he's driving towards the NCR building, he always has kept his phone in his left pocket. This is my left hand. So he pulls his phone out and he starts calling. He tells me he's calling Willie. Willie is supposed to be the head of security. So he's saying, let me call Willie real quick to make sure that the building's open. So he proceeds. This is another phone, but he proceeds to go ahead and call Willie. We're still driving, by the way. We're still driving. I'm on the phone, scrolling through Facebook, trying to figure out some random shit. But he's driving with the phone up to it. So driving with the phone. Next thing I hear, hey Willie, it's Legion. Hey, how's it going? I'm good. Hey, is the building open? No, I just want to take my wife up there so she can see it and see my office. Are you up there right now? You're not? Okay, is Mr. Justin working? Okay. So is there anybody up there that can physically open the building? Because I don't think my badge is going to get me at least in the front door because of it's on the weekend lock. Okay. Okay. All right, let me know. All right. Thank you, Willie. Bye. Y'all see how I did that? He's having this whole conversation while I'm sitting in a passenger seat. So then he gets off the phone and he says to me, Willie is not working and Justin apparently called out sick. So the building is locked and my badge won't get us in the front door. He was like, Willie's going to see if there's someone else that can open the front door so we can actually get in. He's like, my badge will get us on the floor, but it will not get us in the front door. No one ever called. So when he's getting off the highway, he basically turns onto Spring Street. Again, there's all kinds of shit I distinctly remember. He turns onto Spring Street so that he can then get on 75 South so we can go home. Never saw the office that day. But again, this is where he's saying that he keeps the company car. So when we get to part 21, I'll kind of go into detail about the whole company car a little bit more.
So the one time she finally wanted to see his office, it had been moved to downtown, whatever city she said, from Duluth, Gwinnett County or whatever. It's been moved. He has a company car you ain't never seen. And when it's time to go in to see his office, since it's the weekend, his badge can't get y'all in. He has to call Willie. But the badge can get y'all up on the floor, but it can't get y'all in the building because they have a weekend lock. What is that? So I'm confused. And I don't know. But if Willie was out there, but she said Justin was off, but was Willie off? But if Willie was there, then why Willie just couldn't let y'all in? And why his badge don't work for the front door if he the VP? I think she was making up parts of this story based on what people was asking her. And I think that initially her first couple of videos was probably all that she was going to initially give about this whole scenario. But because people got in her comments, she saw she was getting a little traction, she just started making up stuff and adding stuff on. That's what I believe. And to make it seem more weird and, you know, whatever, she's just making up stuff because I don't see how she just fell for that, and then just so happened that y'all are over here by his office. You want to be on your Facebook account searching up random stuff, but you paying so much attention to what road he's on, which route he took, what road he turned on for y'all to leave. You remember distinctively, but you can't. Okay, let's continue. Now I think I'm gonna go for another maybe 20 minutes, and then we'll have to finish the rest of this tomorrow, because girl, this is a lot.
Part 21, who the fuck did I marry? So, the company car apparently was a charcoal gray BMW. I believe it was a 5 Series. It was a 5 Series. I don't know much about the sedans. Y'all know I wanted the X5, dark blue with the cognac interior. He got the BMW 5 Series, charcoal gray. He sent me a picture of the car. So I did see a picture of the car. After this whole NCR building, take me to your office, that is what he's claiming, is that he leaves the company car at that location. He's saying that he drives from Riverdale to Midtown, switches out cars, and then drives from Midtown to Duluth. Those that don't know how Metro Atlanta is, basically Midtown would be in between where we live and Duluth. I only know that he left the house every day at 6:15. I know that I never physically saw the company car come to our home. Saw a pictures, plural. So when he told me that he got a BMW 5 Series, keep in mind, this is after I had been promised a dark blue X5. So I was a bit salty. I don't care if it is a company car. I was a bit salty. I will admit that. Because I felt like you get to drive the car that I really want, which is a BMW. And so he would call me from the car. He would tell me, yeah, I may just drive home in this car and not switch back to his personal car. He was like, I don't know. He did that a lot. And I realize now in 2024, he did that because he knew how excited I was to actually see the car. Because shit, I wanted to test drive it myself, to be honest with you. And he knew that. So, reactions. So he would say stuff like that, like, man, I'm so tired. I might just drive the company car, go ahead and go home. And then, just let me park it in a garage type thing. So eventually he stopped doing that because I didn't want to hear nothing about that car. I'm driving a Nissan and you driving a BMW after you promised me a BMW. So I don't really want to hear nothing about it. So in terms of the company car, I did see that it was a, according to the pictures, a charcoal gray BMW 5 Series. If you're asking me the exact model, I don't know. But I know it was a 5 Series because I know the 7 Series is slightly longer. So it's a 5 Series sedan. So after the whole situation with the cemetery to see his grandmother and grandfather's headstone, then there was the NCR, the office is open, oh, it's not open, Justin ain't working, Willie ain't working. Willie is supposed to be head of security, but he ain't working. Okay. So at this point, I'm already numb. It is important for me to point out how numb I became dealing with him. Mind numbing, because I just got to a point where it was like, there's always something. There's always something. So, of course, we're not going to go to the office because there's going to be something. So this is the end of February. My birthday had already passed. There clearly was tension on my end, not so much tension on his end. So I get home a couple of weeks later. We are now in the beginning of March. This is something personal about me. The only way you would know this is if you know me. I have been dying to go to London and Paris. I had a layover in London when I did a study abroad, but it's not the same. I want to go to London and be a whole tourist. I don't care. I want to see Buckingham Palace. I want to see the Tower of London. I want to see Paris. I want to see the Palace of Versailles. This is something, if you know me, you know she wants to see Paris. She wants to see London. So I get home from work. This is the beginning of March. I get home from work, and on the counter is a folder with like a little bow on it. And I'm like, oh, what is this? Is this like mail? Like, was this something that you got at work? He's like, nah, it's a surprise for you. I open up the folder. Inside the folder is like a trip itinerary. It is not an actual booked trip. It's like an itinerary. A trip for two to go from Atlanta to London. The trip should have happened, and it was the month on there was like July. So it was a summer trip. So he tells me, I'm going to take you to London. He was like, I wanted to take you for your birthday, but certain things fell through. He was like, so this summer in July, we're going to go to London. He was like, I've already made a reservation for us to stay at the Savoy. Again, there's certain things that my brain just was like, remember that. He said, I've already made a reservation for us to stay at the Savoy. I didn't know, as much as I want to go to London, y'all, I didn't know anything about the Savoy. And so I remember going to look it up because I was like, what is the Savoy? Well, apparently the Savoy is bougie, very bougie. So I was so excited. I cannot tell y'all how fucking excited I was when I saw that he had printed out British Airways. Like, he was speaking my language. I am one of those people, I'm a planner. So when he's saying, I'm gonna take you to London, and he took the time to research flights and print it out and research the Savoy and print it out, and there were different not excursions, but there were different things that you could do. You could go see the Tower of London, you could go see Buckingham Palace, changing of the guard, we could go have high tea at certain places. He was like, I don't really want to go, but I know you're dying to go. So he was like, you know I love you and I would do anything for you, blah blah, black sheep, have you any wool? And so he was like, I'm going to take you to London in July. The trip did not include Paris. That's fine. But I was so excited. So excited. And so this is the beginning of March. I was like, this is great. Hopefully this happens. I knew I needed to renew my passport. And he was saying that he had to renew his passport as well because his passport had expired. So both of us were like, okay, we need to get on this if we're going to try to make it to London in July, and it's now March. Me being the planner I am, I think I went to work the next day and printed out the passport applications so that we could fill it out and go ahead and get that process going. So, needless to say, something must have happened, and I don't remember what it was. We just simply didn't fill out the application for the passport. So, fast forward, we're now at mid-March. Mid-March, the decision was made that my mom, who lived in Arkansas, was coming to visit us. She would be coming, I believe, the second week of April, and she was going to stay a week, and then a few days. So, like, maybe a total of 9 days. Not quite 2 weeks, but a little over a week. So she was coming in April, and I was excited. Legion was excited because he was excited to physically meet my mom. He had talked to her on Zoom, he had talked to her on the phone, but he was excited to physically meet my mom. And my mom was excited to physically meet her son-in-law. So this is mid-March. I'm going to go into part 22 where I explain what happened with Facebook Messenger.
So after all of this house hunting, houses falling through, you know, you can't go to his office space, you haven't seen the BMW company car that he drives, and you didn't mention that y'all actually got out the car and went and looked at the tombstone that the family was buried on, which I have questions about, because initially you said he wasn't even from Georgia. So why is his grandparents buried in Georgia? But either way, after all of that, you thought he was about to send you to London? Girl, why? And now your mother is coming, and this is the first time that they're physically meeting. So I take it that your mother didn't even come to the wedding. Was there a wedding? You didn't speak much about any wedding, which now I'm questioning, did y'all really get married? Like, you didn't show us no ring, you didn't tell us what kind of ring he got you, none of that, unless I missed it when I stepped away. But like, why didn't y'all families come together for the wedding? Like, he got all this money, he could have got the family together. Like, I don't understand that. But I really don't understand how you thought he was about to send you to London. He won't even let you see his office space. But let's move on. Like I said, another 10 minutes, and then, you know, we'll come back to this tomorrow. I think she on 22 now. So we'll stop, you know, in a few, and then pick up where we left off.
Part 22, who the fuck did I marry? So now we are in March. This is right after he had surprised me with the announcement of we're going to go to London for a trip in July. Because we definitely didn't do a honeymoon. We definitely didn't do any sort of trips together. So the idea was we're going to do a trip in July together. One thing about Legion was that he was the guy who was like, I have nothing to hide. I don't lie. I don't like liars. If we're in a relationship, then everything should be out in the open. So I've always had his cell phone passcode. Never felt the need to look through his cell phone. And funny enough, I can tell y'all right now, disclaimer, I will never go through a cell phone again. You cheating piece. So anyway, so one day, this is mid-March, going like around March 20th. So we're heading towards the end of the month. He was in the shower. Keep in mind, my mom is coming for a visit in April. So he was in the shower, and he received a text message on his phone from a woman. The text message, because it was a preview, so the text message was something where if you didn't know the context of the text thread, you could either go left or you could go right with it. So me being just curious, I opened up the phone, put the passcode in, read the text, then read the thread. Come to find out, it was a text from his aunt. His aunt and his ex share the same name. That's why I say it could go left or it could go right. Text was from the aunt. So I looked at the text, went through the thread, nothing in there. So I went ahead, X'd out of the messages. I see that he has Facebook Messenger downloaded, and obviously it shows you the number of unread messages in the icon. So it showed that he had like 5 unread messages. So I clicked on it, just being nosy. And what do my wondering astigmatism eyes see? So in his Facebook Messenger is about 7 women. I can see their profile picture, and I see their names. Some of them had a preview. The ones that he had not read, I could see the preview of the message. One in particular said, when are you gonna come get this? Y'all know what I'm talking about. So I clicked on that one first. And I'm reading through the thread. And so she's saying, when are you going to come get this? But earlier in the thread, or further back in the thread, he had asked her, when are you going to give me? And she said, when lockdown is over. So from what I could piece together, he had not yet physically gotten with her. But had there been no COVID, oh, he would have smashed all day, every day. The other messages were innuendos, meaning the other messages from the other women were innuendos. They were not as graphic as the one between him and her. So I'm reading these messages, and what is interesting is that the person I am married to is not the person in these messages. Like, this man was on some nasty shit. And I say nasty not in a judgmental way, but in a, with me, he seemed to act as if I was damn near virginal white. And I clearly see evidence that you into some shit that with me, you acting like, nah, I ain't really into that. So I confronted him. I absolutely confronted him and was like, what the fuck is this? If 2 + 2 is 4 and 5 + 5 is 10, what the fuck is this? And so he did not, oh, that ain't what happened, blah, blah, blah. Instead, what he hit me with is, man, I was just playing around. Like, ain't nothing happened. I shouldn't have said all that, but I was just flirting. It ain't mean nothing. I don't even know that girl. I was just flirting. And so I'm like, is this what you into? And so he was like, no, it's not what I'm into. It was just stupid. It was stupid because I shouldn't have done it. So I'm going to be honest with y'all, because I've been honest all this time. What pissed me off the most was that here I am as a woman behaving, trying to do the right thing by him and this marriage. And you mean to tell me you out here offering your ding-a-ling to random chicks that you don't even know? I was more angry at the fact that I'm like, dude, do you know how much I have turned down in order to be faithful to your dumb ass? And I'm seeing that you basically are out here acting like you got Skittles taste the rainbow. I was hurt. I was angry. I thought about getting my lick back. I'm just being honest, I did. And he played it off like it ain't nothing serious. It ain't nothing serious. Don't overreact. Don't get emotional. It was just dumb. He was like, I will delete the messages. I'll even delete Messenger. And I told him, I was like, that's really not good enough, because that's not going to fix the root of the issue. So this is where I introduced that we need to do marriage counseling. He didn't have any issue doing marriage counseling. We did not do premarital counseling, but he was like, that's fine. He was like, I don't have no problem doing marriage counseling because if anything, it can help us. So I thought that, okay, he may not have physically cheated from what I could see on the messenger. He may not have physically cheated, but he damn sure got caught, doing a little something, because they had exchanged pictures. So y'all know what pictures he sent. And I was disappointed because I don't like men that send those type of pictures. But anyway, that's another issue. So we agreed that we would start marriage counseling. We also agreed that we would put on a united front when my mom got there. In other words, we were not going to argue. We, let's just act like everything is fine. But at that point, when my mother arrived in April, I could not stand him. I did not want to be, but we couldn't, he moved back into our bedroom because he had moved into the guest bedroom when I saw the messages. Like 3 days before she came, he moved back into the bedroom because obviously she needed to sleep somewhere. So, I really could not stand him. And it was because I was busy second guessing myself. Like, damn, what's wrong with me? Like, if that's what you into and I'm supposed to be your wife, like, let's have conversations. Like, shit, I went to FAMU. I understand some stuff, buddy. So it just was one of those things where it made me second guess, like, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? What is it that she got that I don't? because you all out here willy-nilly, messaging her all hours of the night, because the thread went back quite a few weeks. I saw it in March. There were messages from December, November. So again, I'm just second guessing all kinds of stuff, self-esteem taking a hit. So no, I did not want to be around him. I did not want, I didn't like him, period. I did not like him. I left and I would just go for a drive because driving clears my mind. I called my aunt, told her what happened. I don't recommend that. I don't recommend calling family to tell them what's going on in your marriage. But I called my aunt, and my aunt lovingly was like, what do you want me to say? You married him. He ain't your boyfriend. Y'all can't just break up. That's the hard part about marriage, is like, I mean, yeah, I guess you could leave him, but at the same time, you married him. So, honey, you're going to have to go back home. And y'all are going to have to figure this out. She was like, I can't give you advice on what you should do. I'm sorry that this happened, but you married him. So, even though it was just one drive, I went back home, and that's when the discussion was, we need to do marriage counseling. Part 23, who the fuck did I marry?
So y'all, we gonna end this right here on part 23 and come back tomorrow to finish this out, because I'm a little confused. Like, she finding out that he's flirting and cheating, 7 different women in his phone. You putting on the front for the mama, but you done told the auntie, and you done moved him back in the room, but you said you got a 3-bedroom, so why the mama couldn't sleep in the third room? Like, but you wanted to fool your mama like everything was cool, but why? I didn't get that part. Like, why are you fronting for him if he taking you through all that? He already fooling you about houses. He already done fooled you about these cars. He already done fooled you about his office space. He already done fooled you about London. And now he got you trying to fool people about y'all relationship. It's like, girl, dump this dude. Dump this dude. Anyway, so yeah, we'll finish this later. So check back in tomorrow. I'm thinking around 7:30 we should be able to get through it. So yeah, thank you all for stopping by, the ones that did. I didn't see a lot going on in the chat, so hopefully y'all be here tomorrow. A lot of y'all probably have already heard this story, but I wanted to hear it, in its entirety. I've heard bits and pieces, but yeah, we'll be back tomorrow though. Y'all be easy, be safe, peace and love, and see y'all later.
DJ Mike C on the track.
Cause that be natural.
Lady
I ain't looking tacky. I keep my game tactful.
Yo,
yeah, I'm so nappy. Cause that be natural.
The infamous.
I ain't looking tacky cause I keep my game tactful.
I'm so pretty, I'm so fabu, I'm so natural, it's like it's a taboo. I'm so filthy, got the tattoo, fucking these bitches like I own ragu. On my business with my platoon, getting these minutes like I'm a typhoon. Y'all is cheering on that cartoon, and I'm sitting on top of these buffoons. I'm so nappy, I'm so nappy. All these dudes that wanna get at me, I'm so cultured and I'm happy. Jealous switches wanna come back me, cause I'm comfortable in my skin. End of the day, you lose, I win. I'm so profitable in my ends. Don't care if I make or lose a few friends, and I look like $1 trillion. Lady, you won a lotto, cause in the Lord I trust. And beauty is the motto. Naturally thick in the butt, I'm Billy Blanks on the Tabo. Edges a little rough, just pretend I'm from Morocco. Organ all up in my hair, cause I let my locks grow naturally. My curls popping everywhere, I'm maximizing on this natural thing. Like it or not, I don't care. You clowns ain't about to worry me, cause I does this for myself, and I'm repping for my ancestry.
I'm so nappy, cause that be natural.